faster than ever, hungry and I'm going to come back and take what is mine, bigger and better. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. Saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. I was born for this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're looking at the Hollywood Casino from the back straightaway off of turn number 2. The beautiful skylines, the sceneries, and of course the beautiful, beautiful days that offer nice windy conditions. And of course, in the middle of the plains of the Midwest lies the Kansas Speedway just outside of Topeka. And this is the site of our next round for round number 8 of the Northwest iRacing Series. It's the Cup Cars tonight on your home for sim racing, celebrating 10 years in 2022. We welcome you to iRacing on LSRTV, as well as those that are joining us on the Community Radio Network and in the Triangle of Raleigh, North Carolina on 87.5 FM WCRN. I'm Wesley Outland. Justin Prince is alongside, of course, Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten on the production for Rocket Media. And Justin, Kansas, mile and a half, race number 2 of our 4 or 5 weeks of mile and a half intermediate tracks. And of course, this is so much different than where we were last week too. Welcome aboard, bud.
Thank you very much, Wesley. And there's a saying when it comes to Kansas that you have to follow the yellow brick road when it comes to trying to find your way to success at a track like this one here tonight. It's a circuit where it's difficult to master because it may look simple, right? It's a facility that opened in the early 2000s. It's a facility that's in that mile and a half oval range with the tri-oval. But it's not as simple as that because this is one of the tracks on the iRacing service in particular that is known for having the possibility of the bottom and the top lines working. It's a track that is very difficult when it comes to navigating off the corner exit because of how slick it can get at times. This is the type of track where it looks deceiving at first, looks easy at first, but as a competitor, when you get up to full speed and go 3 wide into turn 3 possibly in some cases, calamity can strike at any time.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to keep an eye on. And of course, you look from the high view angles of the racetrack, and it looks like, honestly, Justin, that you could run out of room. You could run out of 3/4 wide racing. But honestly, the track is more wider than what the eye of the beholder looks like.
That's a good point to mention because, indeed, it can fit about that 3-4 wide range all the way around the racetrack. Even when you include the apron, you can go up to 5 wide. It's unlikely to happen, yes, but this is the type of racetrack with its 17 to 20 degrees of progressive banking. Keyword progressive, that is going to be where drivers will be trying those different groups. The front straightaway also progressive banking, 9 to 11 degrees. The back straightaway just at 5 degrees. But the main thing to consider too, because that higher banking at the top of the track, that means a lot of drivers may be electing to say, when the grip goes up there, I'll stay up there. Here's the tough thing about that, Wesley. This is the type of track as well, especially in the past year, and especially when it comes to this machine with this next-gen car, that we'll see a lot of back and forth from bottom to top to middle and back again across the circuit.
About 8 minutes away from the field grading. They're having the drivers meeting and then qualifying. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and give you the tell of the tape very, very quickly of what is going on here at the Kansas Speedway. On the bottom left of the monitor, of course, you can see practice is done. Lone qualifying coming up here as the drivers meeting is happening. And then they're going to go 200 miles 200 miles, 134 laps. And for us, Justin, John and myself, we literally have just transferred from one race for the Sim 500 Cup Series wild event at Dover to now preparing for this event. So you run, you quickly get a rest break, if you will, grab a drink, and then you go right back to the grind of things here. And this will be a very interesting race tonight. And it's so different than what Dover provides also.
Absolutely, because Dover, of course, concrete surface, mild short track, as some may consider, very high speeds, but very tight on corner exits. Kansas, still very high speed, but with asphalt, with a lot of space to run on the corner exits, with multiple different lines that can come into play, whether down off the top of the track, off the corners to make passes, or whether it's the dive to the bottom to try and round the white line. Very different circuits, to say the very least, in terms of how they handle and how the competitors will be. Keep in mind as well, there are a few drivers when it comes to those types of races we've seen Wesley do the double duty when it comes to Sim 500, the Northwest Cup Series. Brian Reynolds, I'm keeping an eye on here tonight, for example. He's someone I've seen do that a few times, in particular with that race at Auto Club about a month or so ago. Then we jumped on over. He was in the next race. It was amongst the top 10 in what was one of the first speedway races of the season for the Northwest Cup Series. He's amongst those, middle of the pack. It's not an easy transition, let's put it that way. If you're among those drivers who consider the double, and you're among those drivers who are, say, moving from the official races at Dover all the way into Kansas without getting some preparation done beforehand.
By the way, let's take a look at the ML Performance weather conditions on the bottom right of the monitor. 76 degrees for the air temp, ambient temperature, and the sim wind speed 9, 10, 9, 8 miles per hour. You see it's kind of blowing, but going into countdown mode. And the same thing like Dover on the concrete we had in the first race tonight, John. When John and I called the race, Justin, you've got about 20 degrees warm on the temperature. And here's something else we just saw as the sim updated and we're getting ready to go racing. I think this race is going to start at nightfall. It's going to end under the lights. Yes.
4:10 in sim time specifically, Wesley. And depending on how the cautions may fall, especially with the in sim day being May 15th, 2022 iRacing Day, there is the chance we approach that range if we reach about the 2-hour mark. There is a 2-hour, 10-minute time limit for the 134-lap race tonight. But these drivers are almost set to go, Wesley.
And with that being said, let's give you your starting lineup here tonight for the drivers of round number 8 here at Kansas. Tristan Wood is on the pole in the 57 on the outside of that beautiful-looking machine. The two-time defending Truck Series champion from Shelton, Washington, Dan West Jr. Row 2 on the grid. Well, looking fine, Caden Anderson. He's back. He's been out for a couple of weeks. And Jeff Stabnow could tonight be the night for the Billings, Montana champion in 24 to get back to victory lane. Row 3, Sean Breitzman, the 2020 champion of the Northwest Cup Series in 46. Cole Raz in the Daytona winner, the number 10. Row number 4, Will Fine, Chris Camary in the number 15. Devin West, truck winner at Bristol in the number 5. And around the top 10, Casey Garber, 94. Dan Lowther, good solid run for the veteran in 63, your top 10 at Kansas.
Dan Lowther actually led all drivers in practice. He'll be starting alongside, in front of, in fact, Ron Hunter, along with Blake Peterson, top 5 of the overall points. Brian Reynolds, we gave a shout out to him moments ago, starts 13 tonight. Stephen O'Hare in 14. Bruce Wee Weaver starts in 15th. See if he gets sent to the end of the line. He started his qualifying lap right before the track opened. Chris White, James Vining, Frank Harris are the top 18 today. The last drivers in the top 20, John Annenbacher, Ryan Bloom.
As 2021 ARCA champion, Roy Grande in the 18 will be alongside in row 11. Toby Ritters, Clifford in the 23 entry. Row number 12 will find, of course, Aaron Cooper, Bug Eyes. Runner-up finish in Daytona in the 71. Vinnie McDonald in the 43. Row 13 on the grid, Troy Daggett in 51. Casey Duncan in 17. Row 14 tonight, Carl Burke in 53. Dana Rogers in the 07. And around out the top 30, Angel Ortega in 68. Tyler Kim in 30.
The last 3 drivers on the grid tonight include Justin Neat. Keep an eye on him. He's been one of the quickest drivers in his starts. He'll start alongside Brian Barnes. He's the unofficial points leader without a victory. He's looking to lock himself in from 32nd if he can get a victory here tonight. Kevin Smith rounds out the 33 cars.
And here's something to think about Kevin Smith there, Justin. He won at Kansas in the truck on Thursday night. So he may carry this momentum into the Cup season right here now. We'll see what goes down as they're going to get ready to come to the start. This will be, of course, 200 miles, 134 laps. Go time at Kansas. We're glad you're here with us. LSRTV, CRN Sports for the radio feed. And they're into the Geico restart zone, and the official start of this race is underway. West on the outside, Wood on the inside. Anderson, Stabnow, Raz. Top 5 as they'll send it to turn 1.
Christian Wood coming out of turn 2, looking to clear, trying to hold 3 wide as he gets hit by Anderson. A big wobble by Wood. He locks it down to the middle of the track. He saves it as 3-4 wide to get around him. Near contact again with Wood as everybody scatters in 3 and 4. What a save from Christian Wood.
That was the 3 words I was literally just about to utter out of my mouth when you threw it back to me, Justin Prince. What a save. Wow, it could have literally took out many contenders, but look who came out smelling like a red rose. Jeff Stabnow in the 24, and the caution's out. We've got yellow flag on the speedway, and it is Brightsman involved. Binding involved.
Christian Wood is involved in this too, along with Chris White and company, heart of the pack in the battle for the top 10. And Tristan Wood, who got a massive save under the last run to the backstretch, is the first car with significant contact with the trigger of the caution. Chris White, who is battling inside the top 8 and drove all the way into the apron, all at the same time as there were 2 other spins in the back.
Justin, it has been such bad luck for the defending Cup Series champion. Remember, he changed his car, went to the number 6, and look at this, in an orange car. Hooked Frank Harris, then Sean Brightsman, then Audenbacher. More cars involved. Boy, oh boy. And you know what? Wood saved first times. This time, kind of nowhere to go and got caught up in that.
And there was plenty of craziness at the very back of the pack and all of that, mind you. James Vining without a front clip now. Bruce Weaver destroyed. We mentioned keeping an eye on drivers such as Justin Yee. He's got significant damage, dodging the trouble towards the back. Plenty of drivers already in fast repair territory, or in the case of Chris White and Carl Burke, mandatory damage repairs along with Aaron Cooper. That's not how you want to start off the day. All this is while Jeff Stabnow went from 4th to 1st in a lap and a half as everybody else was trying to keep off each other.
Stabnow into the lead. Dan West Jr. second. Look at Dan West Sr. Dan West Jr. second. Devin West is what I was trying to utter out. His son right there behind him. And how about that there, Justin? That is a Team LSRTV CRN top 3 right there in 1, 2, and 3 on the racetrack.
Yeah, in the case of the top 2 in particular, right place, lucky time. Or you can flip that word around to right spacing, but lucky placement, so to speak. Because Stabnow was on that top line trying to set things up in the second row, keep in mind off the jump on the against the safer barrier. Made some moves. Then you compare that to Dan West Jr. He was trying to get the run to go 3 wide outside before the contact with Anderson. Made things intriguing. Here's a look at John Audenbacher. You see down the back straightaway, meanwhile, 22nd amongst those. Really trying to get some damage dealt with, of course, but also, he's got a camera with him tonight.
We're on board with John Audenbacher, the native out of Concord, North Carolina. Of course, former winner this year in the Truck Series 2 times at Daytona. But this car coming onto the pit lane. No, he just stays below the apron of the racetrack, if you will.
Looks like he's letting cars go here. Has to start towards the very back of the field, yes. So he's trying to get to the very back. Keep in mind, looks like Chris White did not take the fast repair when he ducked down. Carl Burke, the same situation. Dana Rogers, black flag, and already out of the car. Already to 1 to green. Looks like we'll try this again.
And we're on board with Sean Brightsman as well. There he is, driver of the number 46. 2020 Cup champion. And remember, he was caught up in that accident as well. Justin, another thing I'm seeing quickly here, as we're just after, what, 4:20 Eastern time or Central time, 5:20 Eastern time in the sim. It's also cloudy. Very cloud cover over the racetrack in the last 3 laps as well when the race started.
Yeah, it's been getting cloudy off and on throughout the session. It's mostly cloudy skies, keep in mind, for today's race. So those track conditions may go from hot to cold, possibly as the race starts off in the first half. We'll really get towards dusk, but the drivers are ready to go.
Field comes back to the Geico restart zone, ready for the first restart with Stab now. On the inside, a little Incan blinking nod for Lowther in 63. He'll stay in that number 5 position. Green flag flies back in the air. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. First 3 rows are as they send it to the bottom, and Stab now out in front of 2. And here comes Peterson now up there in the 9.
What a good launch for Lake Peterson. Already jumping to third. Behind him, O'Hare with a run on Devin West. Devin West chooses middle, now moves up top. O'Hare wraps the bottom, and he's gaining tons of ground off 4 to the rest of the pack.
Field slides off the corner. Look at O'Hare and Peterson go below the bottom of the apron. Remember, you can do that. There's no penalty like at Daytona or Talladega if you go below the yellow line or the white line. Here at Kansas there, Justin. And that gives you an opportunity to try to slingshot by some cars in doing so.
Caution flag is out. Toby Redders down the back. Justin Yee also slides in the outside wall. Massive smoke kicked up along the straightaway as we're back under caution. Ron Hunter, I believe, maybe your trigger in 9th. He washed up the track right into the path of several competitors, including those we just referred to in the heart of the pack.
Several cars like Briar Reynolds, Ron Hunter, and others scattered down below the bottom of the apron. Off the back straightaway, yellow flag out for the second time at Kansas. Here's Justin Prince to tell you more of what happened for the second time in our Pulse Popper instant replay.
Number 22, Chevrolet Camaro gets loose at the bottom of the track, coming off turn 2, right into the path of Briar Reynolds and several more. And then it is Lockup City. All sorts of chains of reactions coming into play as drivers attempt to slow it on down. It's difficult to slow this. Hey, was that
Barnes?
Yes, I believe,
Justin,
indeed.
that's Barnes, the points leader.
He was amongst those in the vicinity, yes, indeed. He didn't pick up too much damage, I believe, but he just about did. By the way, Toby Ritters, out of the race, technical issue at about the same time as the incident.
Already done for Toby Ritters. That's a heartbreak.
Released on the lead lap. He can join the session, remember, Wesley, to get back in. But at the rate he would get into the track, it'd be at least 3-4 laps down.
Lap 9 of 134 and the yellow flag city here at Kansas so far. Right now, Jeff Stabnow is the man up in front. Lake Peterson, though. Justin, we know how successful Lake Peterson can be. We've seen what he did in the Cup Series last year. And right now, he's already got himself 1 win this year. And I'm digging the Hooters number 9 colors. A lot of people don't know that, but the Dover winner at NASCAR for Cup Series at today, Chase Elliott, that was a throwback car that the fan chose as a paint scheme for him in Atlanta. And he won with that car. And that car right now driven by Lake Peterson. And we all love Hooters, Justin.
Lake Peterson really having a strong day once again, and this is to be expected when it comes to Peterson, as we've seen throughout the series in this season. He's someone that can really nail his marks, especially when it comes to some of the short tracks we've seen, like Dover comes to mind for this series a few weeks ago. Peterson just is amongst those you put in that top tier when it comes to speed, consistency, and as well some of the experience he has across the series and across the sim that helps his talent move forward. By the way, plus 10 for him, plus 10 for O'Hare, and about 9th on Ford have stayed on the track the first 2 cautions. Everybody else has already had to come in once.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that, of course, as Peterson is now the man of the number 2 spot. Some cars in the back of the pack that have been part of yellow flags or damage already onto the pit lane, of course, like Carl Burke, Chris White. And Justin, fairly unusual to have so many cars getting tore up here so far in the early going of this race.
And drivers were warned about that in particular to try and keep things together, especially with some of the trouble in the cold tires, keep in mind. That has been a major talking point throughout the season. But once drivers do get those tires warm, the trend has usually been longer green flag runs. We've seen that in particular the past Speedway or 2 races in this Cup Series. It's just a matter of getting comfortable and getting those tires warmed up. There are some, of course, who have been involved in the damages of the incidents already, who are having to roll the dice. But here's the thing. An air quick caution, we are in a possible 1 stopper from this point forward. It's really tight, though, and requires a quickie yellow from this mark if you realistically want to try it.
You think, honestly, we could see teams thinking of a strategy of using just 1 yellow flag or using 1 pit stop to try to get to the finish of this race, Justin?
Under green, I've seen it happen in several cases where you have 125 laps as the distance. Quick caution, drivers top off early, try and get it to 60-60. Kansas, remember, though, is one of the tracks it's pretty difficult to save fuel at, especially based on the history here. Some cars in particular, some drivers just have that innate trouble of saving that extra little bit here compared to even similar shaped tracks to Kansas. It can be difficult to save that extra little bit to get to a realistic 1 stop.
Jeff Stab now, of course, the man out in front, followed by Peterson. West O'Hare ready to come back for the restart, and we will try this again. Pace car comes in on the pit lane. We're back underway here at Kansas. Stab now, Peterson, West O'Hare. Your top 5 along with Anderson, and right now again, Peterson trying to open up something on the outside on Dan West as they work in turn 1.
Peterson already getting shuffled up the track near contact with the fender of West Jr. He bobbles up to the outside. Here comes O'Hare on him for the battle for 3rd. O'Hare looking to be a plus 11 on the race. Sends it hard to the inside, all while drivers in front and behind settle it out. O'Hare looks to pick it up.
Back through the tri-oval, here comes the field. And Peterson like that, 1 minute up the 2nd, battling the leader. Now falls all the way back to 4th. He's in the clutches to fall to the top 5. He's sideways, specs the outside retaining wall. Rim rides off the wall out of turn number 2, and cars are spinning. Aldenbacher would smoke, Lawler would smoke, and the caution's got to come out over the speedway on lap number 12.
Everybody started to get loose. Even Jeff Stab now in turns 1 and 2 got sideways, and there's a bit of a trend I've noticed when it comes to somebody. You get loose at the start of the pack, the next closest car wheel to wheel behind you usually feels that effect more than double of that. Peterson was that driver, even though he wasn't in the same positioning, his lining was Stab now. There he is with the bobble, up the track. Lawler just avoids, but he does spin leader up turn 2. Aldenbacher spins, trying to lock it down himself. And Peterson, who is looking like somebody who was about to fight for the race lead, instead has to fight with damage.
This is the 3rd caution flag of this race on lap 14. Justin, fluid on the racetrack, what do you think, buddy? What's going on?
I'm really intrigued myself because I think, again, it's just trying to get the tires up to temp, but it's also grip levels are in that Goldilocks zone with temperatures not too hot, not too cool, expecting those to still swing as we talked about. There's also a fair bit of rubber buildup. I am really intrigued. I think, though, part of the thing, too, is this track does have a fair bit of bumps at times in turns 1 and 2, especially if you, say, try and diamond the corner from top to bottom. And I feel like, based on what we've seen with a couple of the drivers, especially what Stabnow was trying to do at the head of the field, drivers are feeling a little bit of that snap loose effect that can happen as you try and exit that corner going towards the middle to the bottom of the track. And some of the drivers, I think, are just starting to get that aero loose effect off some of their competitors as they're slipping and sliding and or as they're hitting the brakes.
15 laps. We're also coming up on the top of the hour. So we'll pause for 10 seconds of network identification on the Community Radio Network. This is iRacing on LSRTV. From Kansas, we'll step away as well.
You're listening to the Community Radio Network. Follow us via social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CRN Sports. Plus, listen to other games at 87.5 FM or join us anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. We are CRN.
broadcast personality Wesley Outlet up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway. Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel. Ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments, and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week.
This is our series,
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it? They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Three caution flags in 14 laps. Yellow flag fiesta like it's Tornado Alley here at Kansas. Follow the yellow brick road rhymes perfectly for these yellow flags. Justin, your take of the opening 15 laps so far.
Drivers need to settle on down. To be quite frank, first of all, it's been a very difficult race when it comes to being able to maintain pace, obviously, and maintain grip. There's that fine line of being fast and being sideways. And so far, it's just been the matter of, I think, in part, making sure your car doesn't go sideways, but also maintains good track position and pace.
Yes.
Here's the thing, though, when it comes to these cautions that you have to consider now. You mentioned the possibility of the fuel strategies if this goes green from this point. Dan Lowther, Tristan Wood, Lake Peterson, Frank Harris, Casey Garber, Tyler Kim are all attempting that. They all came in under this last caution either for damage repair or, in the case of one or two of them, to top off.
And by the way, here's something to think about, Justin, and we talked about this. Look at the number 14 position. Look at the man that started all the way in the back. He didn't qualify. Brian Barnes, okay? Popsicle car. On the spot, he is in the points. I was trying to say got the bullseye on him. He has a 1-point lead over the rest of the field, okay? You know he's trying to get up quickly to the front. He's mid-pack right now, 14th. Field working their way back to the Geico restart zone. We'll try this again, Justin, here at Kansas. Stab now. West O'Hare is there. We're back to green as they roar past the start-finish line. 17 completed. Stab now. Back off with the settle into turn one.
Down now tries to hold the bottom off the launch. Caden Anderson tries to hold the middle of the top line. A little bit of weeble wobbing for all the top four. Anderson tries to position himself up high. O'Hare tries to position himself to the side of Dan West Jr. Fighting side by side for second again.
And he'll save that car as now here comes his teammate right there alongside. But you know, as much as Stab now wants to be in the lead, you know, West also wants to be up there and lead this race too, but he better hold off a dogfight. Two cars after him. O'Hare, Anderson inside. There go. I go 3 wide off of turn 2.
2 wide still for the battle for third. Anderson with a good run. He tries to get third back. He was in the mix right from the jump for the opening contact. O'Hare tries to clear back on the bottom side. Anderson stays to the quarter panel.
Stab now, bobs off the corner. He drops down below the apron of the white line. Side by side, Anderson O'Hare, that's for third. Meanwhile, Stab now west, single file. You're on board on the backside of O'Hare's car. He's got Raz and Bloom. That battle heats up off turn 2, 2 by 2 by 2 behind them.
Raz nearly hits the wall. He's got damage to the right front fender. Bloom tries to clear on the bottom. To the bottom of the grooving, nearly towards the white line goes Bloom. He diamonds it. A little drift off 4. Better run going for Raz.
And while that goes on, they work their way back through the dog leg, back through the start-finish line here. This is the second week of what is our up to Memorial Day intermediate race tracks. Tracks 1.5 miles or bigger. It
Trouble,
is
turn
that
2.
going on. Trouble, turn 2.
Down Lowther into the wall. He collects Devin West. Into the wall goes
no.
Troy Daggett in the chaos. We're back under caution.
And Justin, I just saw also where the 4 of Brian Barnes barely got through that. Caution out for the 4th time now on lap 20. Back to Justin Prince to tell you what happened as we prepare for also a Polch Poppers instant replay at Kansas.
And a few drivers may have popped a few motors, unfortunately, with some of the contact. It was side-by-side, battling hard for about 7th and 6th position. It's Chris Camary who snaps up the track into the path of Devin West. He ends up collecting Bruce Weaver. Troy Daggett gets the very tail end of some of the back bumpers. Dan Lowther slams into the wall, trying to avoid as well. 5+ cars involved, and another trying to slam the brakes to the back end. Does also, it looks like, graze the wall, trying to avoid it.
The yellow flag back out again here. Man, what a tough break. Yellow flag calamity. Justin, is it with the cars? Is it the setup? What do you think is causing these guys, or is it just impatience?
I'm not sure how to phrase it at this point, because Bruce Weaver, Sean Brightsman and company, first of all, are coming in. Brian Barnes, he's picked up some damage throughout some of these incidents. He's looking like he's already coming on in because of the difference in strategies popping up. But to answer the question, you have to be able to settle things down as a driver right now with how things are faring out, because the tempers are flaring in some cases. But it's also, drivers are getting very loose in corner entry to Apex. And it's a difficult car to drive for a reason. Even our leader, Jeff Stabnow, I think can attest to how slippery it's been even with clean air compared to some with the dirty air.
And you know, Justin, normally I want to talk to this guy, but sometimes he says I'm bad luck. So I'm going to let you talk to the driver in car from Billings, Montana, Jeff Stabnow, because it's not my fault.
On that point, Jeff Stabnow, do you have a copy?
I got you guys. Not your fault, Wesley.
Well, just in case, I got my fingers, legs crossed, my eyes crossed, everything's crossed right now.
In all seriousness, lots of caution so far, but I have to ask, how was it condition-wise for you in that car in terms of the handling? Because at one point, you nearly spun for the race lead.
Yeah, surprisingly, everything that we practiced, all practices, this thing was just tight as could be. It was everything you could do, brake bias all the way back. You know, you had to turn it with the brake. So we get into the race session here, and it's loose on entry, man. And it's in 1 and 2. Not only is it can be loose in entry if you get a little wheel into it, but it wants to turn around on throttle too. So 1 and 2 is going to be a real challenge tonight.
So how do you try and strategize for a race like this then, especially with, it seems, the cautions and some of the spins and loose moments are coming front, middle, and back of the pack, in and around and behind you?
I think, you know, as long as I'm still turning comparable lap times, I stay out here, good track position, try to stay out of the fray. You know, if lap times fall off enough, then maybe I'll come and get tires, but for the most part, I'm just going to try to keep track position.
Going to be an interesting rest of the night, to say the very least. And again, we've talked about it a little bit. You're amongst the drivers still looking to break through into victory lane throughout this campaign. Amongst those in the point standings and how they sort, looking to get victories, you're actually tied with Ryan Bloom, points total-wise. How difficult do you feel it will be to try and break through for that victory, especially here tonight?
Hey, we got a super competitive field. You just look at the list of drivers that are in here, and you know, there's a dozen guys that just, it wouldn't surprise you to see them win. So this is going to be a tough race. Anytime you win it, you're either going to need a lot of luck or you're going to just need to drive your butt off.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to ask you one question and we'll let you go. Why do you think we're seeing so many caution flags in the race?
I just crashed out of the race, guys. So,
oh, my goodness. Jeff, what happened? What happened?
I don't know. Sim died. I got to try to get back in. I don't know where I'm at on track.
You are no longer on the track, Jeff. From the race lead, you have had a sim crash. Wesley, oh boy. Dan West Jr. is in the lead.
It's your fault. It's your fault, Justin.
That is unreal timing. That is unreal bad luck for Jeff Stabnow.
Are you friggin' kidding me?
Dan West Jr.'s the control car, Wesley. Wow.
Where is Jeff going to be able to get back in, or is he?
He's not going to be able to get his position back. As he said, his sim completely crashed. He's losing the lead and the lead lap He's in the same position as Toby Ritters, who's had 2 crashes tonight.
Oh my goodness, man. That sucks. All the while, Ken West Jr., his teammate up on the outside, has now been mercifully surrendered the lead. And now Anderson is trying to capitalize on the restart with his friend Cole Raz right behind him. Here we go again. The Anderson Raz Show at another track, coming to an event iRacing near you. Justin, he up in the front in 1 and 2.
Everybody caught off guard with the change of the control car, but Caden Anderson able to reap the riches. Side by side for third, a side trap from O'Hare. West Jr. elects to take the wall. O'Hare gets a little bit of dirty air, though, from Raz.
Jeff Stabnow now going to go laps down in this race. We've not seen him pop back in just yet. 3 wide now for second. West, Raz, O'Hare. Here comes Kevin Smith now, by the way, up there. And Smith, remember, that white 00, he won the truck race on Thursday night. Why, meanwhile, here goes Raz, O'Hare going at it again for third off turn 4.
Still side by side, O'Hare still trying to find a way around. He's been one of the quickest drivers throughout all the craziness, and one of the few drivers who hasn't had a bubble. State racing car still trying to wrap the very bottom. All of the race leaders going side by side. Anderson bottom, West on top, spin behind. Once again is Peterson in the heart of the pack in front of Frank Harris. We're back at our yellow.
Toss it out again for the 5th time. Jeff Stabnow just messaged me and he said, Wesley, it's your fault.
You brought up the curse? He did get the caution. That may have been in good timing, but not in the best of timing. He's 3 laps down. This comes at the top of the race lead, but it's Blake Peterson who is the trigger in all this. Several cars you see, such as Dan Lowther, are coming full speed towards the back of the grouping. Then Peterson gets loose of just a small bobble with that entry issue. Vining's the first into it. Frank Harris goes into it. Then you have more spins right on behind. Absolute calamity. And some
are we
of the
at Kansas or friggin' Darlington or Daytona, Talladega, man? They are tearing cars up left and right here.
I take it you missed the eNASCAR race here last year where there is a 25-car big one in turn 3.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We still held the record for the biggest wreck ever in iRacing history, in my opinion, Justin.
One of.
One of.
But here's the interesting thing. You mentioned Kevin Smith before with the truck race. He's only pit once. He's up to 5th. Somewhat with damage, yes. But he is the first of those who have pit at all in this race.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Of course, the 00, what kind of strategy he's working towards as we're closing in, obviously, on 100 laps remaining. This is a 200-mile race, 134 laps of distance on the 1.5 miles here in Kansas. Justin Prince, Wesley Outland here with you. And there goes, was that the number 6 flying by?
Yes, it was.
I think it was. Chris White. John Brightsman off the pit lane. Jeff Stabnow is on pit road. Okay,
Yeah.
so Justin, if we're seeing Jeff Stabnow pull back out on the racetrack, can you explain for somebody that might be watching or listening that might not know explain what happened to Jeff Stabnow before we go to green?
As he referred over through our interview, essentially what happened was, it sounds like his sim froze. And what can happen when that happens is, if you have, like, say, you're driving around, right, or watching, say, a movie or any sort of type of thing, and it freezes and stutters, it just stays there for a certain amount of time, it usually means you've lost connection to the server and you're out of the race at that particular time. And it takes time to rejoin to get back into the race. So in our words, to simplify things, Stabnow basically had a crash to his game program or simulation program, had to reload it. That takes about up to 3-4 minutes in some cases. He's 4 laps down. And right now is in the conversation for the Lucky Dog because every other car in front of him laps down is currently off the track with significant damage or out of the race already.
And that's in his favor, because if he can get these laps back, that can put him back in the hunt to win this, to try to get back in the front again.
Here's the tough part when it comes to Jeff Stabnow and several others. You need 4 cautions at minimum to be able to get back on the lead lap if you're Jeff Stabnow, while hoping no one else loses a lap to fix damage, while hoping that you don't get yourself involved in any more crashes, and knowing there's a chance you might not have the fast repair, because in some cases it can burn that up when you rejoin the racetrack after having essentially what would be the sim would call a tow back to the pit lane, with you essentially flying back to the pit lane by disappearing from the track. In other words, Stabnow needs a lot to happen. Here's the interesting thing, though. Here's one thing to consider. It's a 12 incident point limit before you reach a penalty here tonight, Wesley. A little bit more stricter, I believe, compared to past races on the season. Several have already triggered it. Frank Harris, the latest of those, who will have to serve a black flag for incident points.
Well, that'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on. The course of number 12, Frank Harris has been involved in multiple cautions, and we're not even sure if he's ran into other cars on the racetrack or being a little aggressive, if you will. I wouldn't say it's rough driving, just maybe being a little aggressive than usual. We're seeing some craziness. I look at Tristan Wood's car. He's in 10th, okay, as we show the camera for the restart on the outside, the green and black 57, a 4-screen color, if you will. He's got a hood missing, and he's up to 10th, okay? We're ready for the field to come back to the Geico restart zone. Caden Anderson, Yakima, Washington. Harvest Chevrolet entry. His Camaro up in front to the outside. Shelton, Washington, the driver of Dan West Jr. Then you've got Cole Raz, ready to come back after him. O'Hare, Smith, top 5. We're back to green.
Off and away goes
Closing
Anderson.
in. Yes.
With the clean launch goes Anderson into turns 1 and 2. Raz tries to block the lanes. West Jr. tries to cut to the inside. Side by side for second as West Jr. tries to get the run. And a run for Raz down the middle of the back straightaway. O'Hare picks up the draft. He looks to clear Kevin Smith as they look to find it out for second.
And look at Raz, Tucker down to the bottom of the racetrack. Following that same shadow movement will be the 55. Old double nickel. Dan West Jr. holds on to that line. Here comes now Kevin Smith on the bottom. Kevin Smith now looking for spots. He's going after O'Hare. He's going after Gee as they go to turn 1.
Everyone trying to find some air. West Jr. tries to find some grip. He nearly spins it all the way through turns 1 and 2. Big contact in front of him, though. Anderson had a bad corner exit. He scraped the wall down the back straightaway. Here comes Raz, and West Jr. looking to snap him up.
And somehow they hold it together. No harm, no foul. The race rolls on here.
Back turns 1 and 2. West Jr. again gets lost
in the wall. He cooked him. Tristan Wood slammed into him. So did Justin Yee. No caution, by the way. Wow. And correction, that was not Tristan Wood, Justin. That was actually Justin Yee that got into him in the 64 car. But somehow, no caution.
No caution, we stay green despite all the significant contact. Nobody went around and spun around. There go 2, 3 wide in the heart of the pack afterwards. Up at the front, O'Hare is looking hungry for the battle for the race lead. He tries the bottom for second still. Raz gets tight. They pass by. A brigade of blown motors. Dana Rogers and Frank Harris are involved in trouble on the back. No caution either.
2, 3 times now you would think the yellow flag would fly, and now it's not. After almost 5, 6 cautions to start this race, we're closed in on now under 100 laps to go. It's Anderson the leader. Look at this game of cat and mouse continue now as here comes Ryan Bloom, the ARCA champion of last year, reeling in O'Hare as they go into turn 2, and Smith up on the outside of the truck winner on Thursday night.
Top 5 have pulled away. Craziness in the second group. Brightsman up into the catch fence. He flips over the racetrack. Under caution again. One more car spins behind it. Dan West Jr. as Brightsman goes all the way from the outside wall to the inside wall. And one of the biggest crashes of the season. We're under caution again.
A massive crash involving the 2020 the 2020 Northwest Racing Series Cup champion. Justin Prince saw it all break loose on lap number 38 as we're under caution for the 6th time here in Kansas.
Dan West Jr., remember a couple laps ago, got very loose? Well, guess what? He had it happen again. Inside turn 2. This time collects Brightsman and Dan Lowther. And Brightsman pinballed everywhere around the racetrack, down from the outside wall to the inside. Brightsman already out of contention, and plenty of drivers already with incident point issues. Justin Yee has triggered that incident point mark. More meatballs for Brightsman, Dan West Jr., Harris, Kamari, Hunter, everybody picking up incidents, as now everybody in the lead grouping starting to think about pit stops, with many of their competitors smoking.
Yeah, I'm thinking the whole cavalry should be coming down to the pit lane right now, Justin. I think it honestly only makes sense for them to do that, as they're going to come in and have work done to their cars. It's going to be, of course, 4 tires and fuel. Some having to go on the repairs to try to get some clocks, not use up that fast repair just yet, but others might be using fast repairs. Sean Brightsman violently flipping off of turn number 2. Other cars involved, and again, this has put us under caution, and many cars badly damaged, getting work done. Dan West Jr. just took a fast repair. Here comes Raz and Anderson. Too close to call off the pit lane, Justin. They're going to give it to Cole Raz by almost 1,000th of a second.
Good race off the lane. No manual damage taken as well there, so they look confident to the track position. But here's the track position conundrum. 2 drivers have elected to stay out for now. Blake Peterson, who's been involved in a few cautions, and Bruce Weaver is looking to take advantage of track position possibly. He's got significant front end and back end damage though. Everyone else, fresh Goodyear Eagles on their respective cars here, and everybody who just pit there have essentially guaranteed themselves a one-stop regardless. Pretty simple one-stop, in fact, where they can go to about 25 to go.
And understanding that we're going to bring into the broadcast Mr. Sean Brightsman. He was one of the drivers that was on camera with us, as well as just had that crazy wreck. Sean, your take of what happened, man, and your take of this race, and can you still stay in this race here as it's still early going, but a lot of caution flags.
Yeah, a lot of caution flags. The wreck, I mean, Dan just got with these cars, he got loose, and it just kind of snapped on him, hit the wall, and it came back off, and just hit me in I think the left or the right rear quarter panel, sent me up to the wall, and helicopter turtle, and so they flipped me over, put me on the wrecker. We're still towing, so they kept me strapped in, so we'll see what the pit crew can fix after they get me off the wrecker.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, it was the full right side door, and 3rd time, keep in mind, in that respect, Ron West Jr. got loose in that situation. I do have to ask this, though. How difficult has it been to try and keep clean? You've been involved in a couple of the major incidents here tonight. What's your take on how things are faring and how difficult it is?
It just seems that right now when you enter, really, it seems like turn 1's a nasty spot. If you kind of cross over the seams with progressive braking, it kind of unsettles the car, and people seem to turn the wheel a little bit to the right to correct it, and it with the next gen car and the rack and pinion steering, it just snaps it, and it's just unfortunate. There's no room to save it, so if you really start to spin, and it's like one of the hardest things to do, you must just spin out and call it good. I haven't been able to master that yet, but it's just the nature of the beast right now. We're just little too aggressive, not enough patience, and just kind of figuring out what everybody is going to be doing next to each other.
Well, Sean, buddy, final question as the lights are off on the pace car. I'll let you settle back in for the restart. Do you feel like you still got plenty of time to get back up there with under 90 laps to go?
It'll be risky. We got a hefty set of repairs on us, so.
All right. Well, we'll see how things go. There you go. There's the driver of the 2020 Northwest Cup Series champion, originally out of Puyallup, Washington, now from Tucson, Arizona, Sean Breitzman. And Justin, for the first time ever, we actually did an in-car interview. And by the way, this just happened under caution, so they might wave off the restart here.
O'Hare, yes, technical issue. He's out of the race. He's off the lead lap, and this was a great run for O'Hare. And then his car has the solid left, back underway. He won't be there for it.
And we're back to green. Another driver snake bit for some type of a problem mechanically. Mechanical, technical, server, you name it.
It's been that type of a night. Blake Peterson looks to run away from the pack. Cole Raz in second. Bruce Weaver already falling back as Anderson, and now Smith try and find their way around. Smith to the inside for the battle for fourth.
Remember Kevin Smith from Hermiston, Washington. He picked up the win the other night in the Truck Series event. Look at him trying to get around McDonald. But a good run, Justin. Don't want to jinx anything in the STP colors of Richard Petty. But McDonald's car looking really good, a solid top 10 as he goes off turn 2.
Trouble nearly behind them. Ryan Bloom with a big wobble. That helps McDonald hold on to the spot. Vinnie McDonald with his best run of the season. He'll watch as Smith goes to the inside once again. He tries to wrap it as Bruce Weaver nearly smacks the wall down.
Oh, McDonald had a big race here tonight at Kansas EIEIO, and he's now settling in to run down the rest of these cars, as that's the 43 now. Kevin Smith in his missed. So is also the other cars in the way, including
Trouble
Anderson
turn 2.
and Raz, and cautions out again. Trouble in 2.
Dan West Jr. again loops it, and this time
Wow.
he brains Stabnow White, several cars with them. Tyler Kim spins down to the middle of the apron, down the backstretch. And Dan West Jr.'s day may be done. He's reached that penalty mark for incident points with another spin off turn 2.
Jeff Stabnow might be done as well. Caution flag is out for the 7th time here at Kansas Speedway, involving another LSRTV CRN competitor. We talked with Breitzman. Now it's Dan West Jr. with several others as Justin Prince gives us a recap.
Big bobble yet again, turns 1 and 2. Troy Daggett already seen it, trying to avoid it, but everybody else not as lucky. Lowther involved. Daggett still gets hit several times. Stabnow involved. White also gets significant contact. He also had several trying to weave and dodge their way through the trouble. By the way, it got confirmation just before the last restart. Jeff Stabnow does have a faster pair still in hand. He'll probably have to use it now without a front clip on his car, and with many of his other competitors several laps down already.
So, Justin, I'm understanding that Toby Ritter's trying to stay, Justin Ritters was trying to get his VR going again. Did he cause any cautions because of that? His VR went out, and I don't think he did, but then they said he got a new VR and it's freezing on him. If it's messing up the car race at all, he wants to stay out. He hasn't caused any wrecks yet for Toby Ritters, but he's had his own problems earlier in the race, though, Justin.
That explains why he had technical issues not once but twice that seen him leave the track. Once at the perfect timing because a caution came out within 3 seconds of it. But the tough thing is you have to be able to test things out, especially if it's a new VR headset. There's a process too where it can take some time to get it fully acclimated. Hearing, by the way, speaking of VR, O'Hare had the same issue where he might have not been able to see where he was going, which led him to have his issue getting off the racetrack, where he lost connection to the VR headset. He's explained to his competitors now, which led to him having to use the tow and leave the session. It's a tough thing, keep in mind, Wesley, when if you're in VR and it goes out, you lose all your visual senses and you have no idea where you are.
Did we call a race in virtual reality, you think, Justin? Could we do that?
People have done it, I think. I've thought about it. It's possible. It's not easy.
Words of encouragement there, trying to make me now change my mind. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that.
I've looked into it. But
so, go ahead.
I was about to say, to in all seriousness there, it's a trail of bad luck for drivers. We have had several, as mentioned, with technical issues tonight. Absolutely heartbreaking for some of the drivers who, in some cases, have been contenders for the race lead, and we're now down to just 16 cars on the lead lap. We're not even close to halfway yet.
Yeah, and all the while it has been caution filled. Do we have our little graphic summary of things on the bottom left? Can we push that up, Mr. Engineer? There it is. Look at that. 7 caution flags. You remember me mentioning yellow flag out for the 7th time. So we are 47 laps into this race, 46 to be exact. 20 laps, 26 laps of this race of 46. 20 laps have only been under green, Justin. 26 laps have been under caution. It's about to tick off to 27. And there's only been 2 lead changes. That's been it.
Well, and keep in mind, one of them was because Lake Peterson stayed out. And the other was because Jeff Stabnow's sim crashed.
That's right.
It's been that type of a night where if you have only 20 green flag laps, our longest run is about 2 laps right now. Yeah, actually our longest, I should say, is about 4.
4 lap green flag run? Maybe?
Yes.
4 or 5? Maybe?
At most.
Wow. Hey, and here's something else to think about too, Justin. We're closing in also on Sunset. This race, if it continues being in the path that it's going, it might finish under the lights.
It might finish under time because here's the thing. We're already down to under 90 minutes to go in the time clock. And we've talked about a few times that there is that to be a factor if you get a big caution-filled night. It's been a big caution-filled night. It's been the most attrition-filled speedway race of the season, shockingly, here at Kansas.
Well, we'll see how things go here again as the lights are off on the pace car. We will try this one more time. It'll be lap number 48 completed, working lap 49 as Peterson ready to send them back to speed on the inside of the racetrack. Back to the Geico restart zone. Raz, Anderson, Smith, and McDonald. I'm so happy with McDonald, man. What a good run for him in the top 5 right now. Back to green, they're in 1 and 2.
Remember, though, he's amongst those who have had to use a faster pair. He's keeping it careful. All while the leaders, they're keeping it feisty. Raz to the inside of Anderson. Well, he go for the side trap. The Super Friends fight hard. Peterson stays up top. Feeds Dortier to Anderson as Raz can't get the round out.
And we know that Raz or Anderson will not give an inch to one another. We've seen how aggressive those 2 guys will be just fighting amongst themselves. Raz made a shot to the bottom. He couldn't capitalize on it. Now he'll reel back in Anderson again, or will he? Anderson, I'm going to bump Peterson as they work off 2.
Sorting it out.
Oh,
and
no.
more trouble.
McDonald. Oh, no. Woods goes around. Collected. Also, Kenneth Garber. And the hits keep on coming. Another caution out on lap number 50 for the 8th time here at Kansas. How badly damaged is McDonald's car?
Remember, as mentioned, he had the faster pair. Pulse Popper's instant replay says he avoided the first wave, just avoided the first bobble with Casey Duncan. This part was self-inflicted, though. That was part of the main trigger. After the bobbling for Duncan, he tries to wrap it around. There's lots of spins behind. McDonald does come up into the path of Wood as he wrapped the top, and then they all stack up, slowing it on down behind. O'Hare is lucky not to be involved in another incident, just avoids contact to the quarter panel.
So somewhere amongst from the contact with Duncan, the 43 went down below the bottom of the apron of the infield grass or the pavement, and then he cleared and missed all that other chaos. So for the most part, he might be okay. He just lost track position and fell back to 11th.
And has the right front fender crushed in. It's been that type of a night, though, where drivers have been able to get away. Bruce Weaver has now gotten a black flag for hitting that first trigger for incident points. 2 different chances of 4X's, should I say 12 incidents, 16 incident points will trigger the black flag tonight. 20's disqualification. No DQs yet, but those who are on the pathway to it have already had some meatball flags to serve, so it's been that difficult. By the way, we're down to, as a result of the caution, possibly maybe less than 15 on the lead lap. Casey Garber is that last driver on the lead lap. We'll see if he elects to stay in the race.
By the way, I want to apologize. I think I said it was Tristan Wood, the 57. It was not Tristan Wood. That was the 40 of Bruce Lee Weaver in that discount tire car. That was the one that was in there amongst all that crazy calamity that happened. Wood was around it. He was amongst that group. But, yeah, it was Bruce Lee Weaver, like you just mentioned, just got that black flag, meatball penalty flag, if you will. So, man, Justin, here we go again. Yellow flag number 8. Do you pit? Do you not pit? Are you staying out? What are you doing?
Stay out. You stay out. You stay out and keep the track position at this rate, because at this point, I'd rather be at the front of the field, in front of the trouble, than be behind it and have to hope that you dodge it. It's that simple.
We only have, do you know, 15 cars on the lead lap. That's it. 15 cars on the lead lap from 16th on back. Stephen O'Hare. Now, here's the thing, Justin. Remember what happened to O'Hare? He might get a lap back. He might get one of his laps back. Whatever happened to 41, he's a lap down. He might have just got one of his laps back.
Yep.
But it puts him one lap down. Get another caution like we've been seeing. Caution out for what, the 10th time if it happens? He's back in business again.
Keep in mind, we've seen with the replay how close it was to be involved here, but the main thing I'm thinking about with all this is Tristan Wood I'm curious about, because I liked how he handled the restart before the contact coming off turn 2, where he ended up having McDonald try and clear on by despite him there, it seemed. He's got damage as a result to one of his fenders. But the main thing is drivers have been showcasing they've got the speed to battle with these race leaders, I think, tonight, Wesley. It's just they need laps. They need laps to settle things down. And it hasn't been that type of a night where
No.
they've been able to settle it down. There's been a cyclone blowing around the circuit, it seems.
It's a twister, DM. It's a twister.
I know what you're referencing, but I believe that was taking place around Oklahoma.
No, it's Kansas.
I know
What the
the
hell
reference.
are you talking about? Kansas? When did
The
Wizard
movie.
of Oz?
Oh, I'm talking about the movie Twister.
Oh, no. I was where are
You know what I
at?
mean. We're at Kansas,
Right.
I think.
And the
We're at-
movie Wizard of Oz was based out of Kansas, Justin.
that I know.
Oklahoma was the movie Twister.
That- I don't even know where we're going at this point, except to the restart with 80 laps to go, Wesley, I will say, to put things back on the choo-choo train.
Oh, my goodness.
It has been that type of a night. By the way, Kevin Smith, if he can keep himself clean, biggest mover, 29 spots.
We're going to try this again, shall we? It will be Lake Peterson and Anderson up on the outside, followed by Raz and Kevin Smith. Obviously, the truck winner at Kansas on Thursday. In the 00 from Hermiston, Washington. Tristan Wood, bad luck in the beginning, right back in the thing again. And how about McDonald? Somehow, some way, a little damage is on the right front, Justin mentioned, but back at it again. It'll be lap 54. Completed. Lap 55 when they come back to the Geico restart zone. Green flag back out. 14 cars only on the lead lap as Peterson leads the cavalry right back into turn 1 on the inside.
The Super Friends with a great launch together. Peterson looks to have the best out of them. Anderson with the worst out of them nearly gets loose off 2. Single file for the top 3. Raz trying to sort himself out as the rest of the pack tries to follow suit. To the inside goes Raz. Not able to make it stick though. Peterson better up top.
Blake Peterson powers back up on the outside. Remember, he was sideways earlier in the race in the number 9 Hooters machine. And now that car, that Chevrolet Camaro, back up in the top side. Here comes now the Harvest Chevrolet entry up on the outside lane. Being passed Anderson by Raz. Raz on the bottom. Then you got the Ford. That's going to be Kevin Smith. That's how they stay. Top 5 with Wood there in the 3.
Anderson better up top, starting to settle down a little bit better with the grip. Raz can't make it stick in the bottom. Anderson tries to build the trap down the front straightaway with 78 laps to go. Into turn 1 they go. Peterson goes right down to the middle bottom Anderson stays towards the middle of the racetrack single-handedly. He sticks around the edges of the seams off turn 2.
Down the back straightaway, American Ethanol back straightaway here at the Kansas Speedway. Down to the third turn. Wood goes up the racetrack. Here comes now the 89, John Ottenbacher. He had some problems earlier in the race as well. He's right back up in the top 10. Don't count them out. Peterson up in front. We're 10 laps, by the way. Next time by to halfway. As you're on board now with Ottenbacher, one car down below the bottom of the apron as he goes after Wood on the top shelf out of turn 2.
Ottenbacher just avoids contact with him as Wood pushes back down. Line Bloom was amongst those getting loose at the bottom. Here's a look from Ottenbacher with his camera. A lot of wheel put in, nearly 45 degrees of angle for the wheel for the 89, but he's one of the fastest cars on the track in the top 5.
Watching Ottenbacher on the bottom right of the monitor here as you see him working his way back down to turn 1. Ottenbacher comfortably in the top 5 now as he has got his sights set on not only Kevin Smith but also Cole Rast. That's going on in front of him as they're battling in his rear view mirror, or front view mirror actually, in the turn 3.
You see that with the battle camera and the onboard cam. A little bit of settling down to the bottom for Kevin Smith in front of him. Single file and corner exit. Ottenbacher focusing on what's in front but also taking a peek at what's behind. Wood trying to size him up again. Ottenbacher takes his line. Wood to the wall. Wood up to the fence off turn 2.
Yeah, that was a mistake there by Tristan Wood. He just got 2 up there in the top shelf up in the marbles, and he slammed the outside safer wall barrier. All the while, that allows Ottenbacher to lick his chops and pounce and pull away from him. Wood now also clears by McDonald, and that goes on. Here comes Barnes. Barnes, the popsicle, number 4, up on the top side. There you see the Toyota. He has a 1-point lead over the other drivers in the points championship. And while that goes on, Lowther in the middle. Dan West Jr. now goes from 3 wide in one battle to 3 wide to another. As there's Barnes and Lowther. They battle for spots. That's the top 10 out of turn number 2, and it's 5 cars going at it.
Battle for the race lead. Anderson trying to go for the slide jump in turns 3 and 4. Sends it hard to the bottom. Off turn 4. Lake Peterson with a better run. He settles it back down to the outside at the flag stand. 73 laps to go. Peterson stays up top. Anderson trying for all he's worth to make that bottom work. He nearly clips the apron off turn 2 and makes it wobble.
Almost makes it. He holds on to it again as they work their way back down the back straightaway. Peterson and Anderson. Raz 1, 2, 3. Smith to 4. Ottenbacher 5. Off around the corner, lap 62 of 134. This race goes on through the triangle, through the dog leg, down below. Smith below the apron. They're still getting antsy. 3 cars with the lead now as that goes into turn 1.
Anderson tries to wrap the very top this time. Powering it down 5 miles an hour quicker than Lake Peterson. Can he get a big enough run to send it? Last time he tried the slide jump through turn 3. Not close enough this time. He lets it roll. Tries to avoid the wall. Nearly kisses the wall to try and stay up at the safer barrier.
And all the while, a few more laps to halfway here. First half of this race filled with cautions. We'll see what the second half is. Mind you, Justin, I do not want to jinx anything, my friend, but this is the longest green flag run of the race so far. It's going on with Peterson to the lead to the back straightaway, but Anderson, Raz, Ottenbacher are right there in the crosshairs as he goes to 3.
Anderson really wants this lead. He tries to run the very edge of the seam. He weebles to the middle. To the inside, nearly a Peterson. Peterson able to defend for now. 70 laps to go. Already approaching halfway with this run formation. Top 5 separated by 6/10. In through turns 1 and 2. Anderson brings the whole trio of cars behind him up top.
That whole trio of cars working their way again back around to the back straightaway into turn number 3. Protecting, holding that line. Here comes Anderson. Anderson sees the gap on the bottom of the racetrack, but he can't run there. And now look at this. 3 separate camera angles of 3 different action races going on. You've, of course, got the battle for the lead with those 5 cars in the top 5 up front. Barnes, the points leader, on the upper right bottom of the bottom screen is the battle. Also with the 24 of Mr. Jeff Stabnow and Ron Hunter. That goes on. And we are also, Justin, coming up on halfway in 2 more laps. Everybody now rim riding up on the outside, safe for wall barrier as they work off turn 4 here at Kansas Speedway.
As we talked about during the pre-race, you get a longer run. The top line usually becomes the happier line for drivers to make themselves fast. The tough thing is making the passes. Anderson tries to diamond it off the corner off turn 2 after parking the bus in front of his fellow triplets in the line. He tries to get the draft again through 3 and 4. Lines it up top. Follows the arrow of Peterson. Nearly up towards the wall. Anderson still can't find a way to eat it back up.
Field works their way back to the start-finish line. Cross flags are finally in the air over the flag stand in Kansas. 67 down, 67 to go, and the longest green flag run of the race underway as the leader is Peterson down at the bottom in turn 2.
Anderson gets tight. He's forced to check up. Here comes Cole Raz to the inside. Down the American Ethanol backstretch. Raz to the inside into turn 3. Trying to find a way to clear. He corrects the throttle, but Anderson wraps the top. He holds on to second.
Field works off turn 4. They're single files. But Peterson goes way below the apron of the racetrack. Climbs back up the banking as they work into turn number 1. 3 car lengths. Now make it 5 car lengths back to Anderson. 2 car lengths back there from Anderson to Raz. The Super Friends, as Justin calls them. 2 car lengths back there as a battle heats up for 4th and 5th. That's Kevin Smith and Ottenbacher as they go to turn 3.
They have now swapped with Ottenbacher up to 4th. Behind them in the second pack. 3 seconds back of the leaders. Bottom right corner of screens on LSRTV. Tristan Wood has lost a spot as the head of that pack to Ryan Bloom. Bloom looking more comfortable. Can they find a way to work together, though, to get up to the race leaders as some of those friends, they're starting to get a little feisty.
And that's on board there with the front hood of the car 25 of Ryan Bloom. You're seeing that battle also going on there down at the bottom of the screen from Ryan Bloom, trying to reel in those cars to the front, but he's also got Duncan in the 17 and Tristan Wood behind them. And those are the cars he's trying to catch right there. Those cars of Ottenbacher and Smith and Raz, and the front leaders of Peterson and Anderson. And they're also closing in on lap traffic, also off of turn number 2 as we push lap 70 on the board.
Toby Redder's the first of those, already moving to the apron of the racetrack. Next grouping of cars, Ron Hunter, Jeff Stabnow, Sean Breitzman. The inside goes Kevin Smith, trying to take advantage of the situation. John Ottenbacher continues to try and wrap top. Nearly hits the wall, though. Ottenbacher side by side still.
Back across start finish line. Hope you enjoyed those 3 cameras.
Caution.
Right there, yellow flag. Caution out after the longest green flag run of the race. It's Duncan. Casey Duncan with a problem in the number 17 that looks like it mimics the silver 17 of Jaws, Darrell Waltrip, when he drove that car at the Winston in the All-Star race. And a caution out for now the 10th time. But Justin, this was the longest green flag run of the night. We see what happened on the replay.
That was after contact for Wood with the outside wall, but here's the thing. Duncan cracked the throttle, then still pushed into the door of Wood. Wood was a little bit distant from the wall, bounced off the wall in turn because of the contact, then back into Duncan. That spins Duncan around, and now it gets intriguing because it's very tight for the fuel mileage from here to get to the end. With these pace laps, there is a chance drivers can make it on fuel from here, but that would not include the factor of overtime in this race.
Caution out again for Tristan Wood getting into Casey Duncan in the number 17 machine, and the yellow flag back out over the racetrack. 10th caution of this race. That was the longest green flag run of the night, and here come the leaders onto the pit lane. Could this be the money stop, Justin?
Anderson tried to go to the outside of Peterson. Will that be allowed is the question. Side by side with the leaders into the pit lane. Anderson might have to let Peterson settle in for the box. Peterson has the earlier stall, though. Will this change the race leader as they come on in? Of note, Ottenbacher and Bloom have stayed out, but Anderson looking to be the first one off as the tires are up.
Justin, could the powers that be for the Northwest Cup Series think that maybe Anderson was trying to block Peterson possibly coming down pit road or intimidate him?
We'll have to see if that's the eye of the beholder. Or it could be the eye of speeding because Anderson is not leaving the box. You know what has happened? Anderson with that may have sped at the commitment cone. It's exactly what he did. The speed limit's 45 miles an hour. He was at about 65 at the cone and didn't get slowed down by the middle of the first sector.
So busted for speeding. If they're not going to get him for a technicality of possibly trying to block somebody coming down the pit lane, they did get him for speeding coming onto the pit lane as he was right there side by side with that car. And then he kind of had to hit that little thud of the brakes. And if you watch the replay, Justin, you could literally have seen Anderson quickly hit the brake and everybody looked like they got faster in front of him. And I think that's where they got him in the sector of being busted for a pit road speeding penalty. Tough break there for 37.
Here's the thing, if it was under green, it's a 40-second stop and hold. Because it's under caution, it's just the tail end of the longest line usually. So I think for Anderson, it could have been much worse if this was a green flag pit stop and he did this exact same thing. Of note though, Kevin Smith just came down for a second pit stop during this window under caution, and he's elected to take the faster pair and take some more tires with him.
And there is John Odenbacher, the number 89 machine, the Ford Mustang GT, LSRTV, CRN team entry. Of course, teammates with Devin West and Dan West and Sean Brightsman and Jeff Stabnow. Wow.
Yep. It's an interesting call, I will say, for these two up front. I was about to say Wesley. You know why?
Yeah.
Not just with the fact there's 9 cautions. That's obviously part of the decision-making. But 2, everybody else can make it on fuel from here. This has to be a thought maybe with these drivers where they're maybe thinking if we get a longer run, say 20, 25 laps, they get X amount of people to stay out with from that next caution, hoping there's a trigger of more cautions. Guess who ends up with the fresher tires? Odenbacher and Bloom. Yes, it'll be tough on the starts, but if they do that long run play, they might be the fastest cars on the track if they play their cards right at the end.
And by the way, I said that the caution flag was for the 10th time. My apologies. It is for only 9 cautions. But Justin, in my defense, we've had yellow flag after yellow flag after yellow flag. I lost count by 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts you can put into this, to say the least, but that's how the attrition's been playing out. You also have to think about this. We're at a spot where if it goes green, we don't have to worry about the time. Couple more cautions, that time clock has to be a factor.
Oh, and by the way, Stephen O'Hare has got another one of his laps back. He is still 1 lap down. So if the caution was to come out again, it will put him as the lucky dog, as the free pass car, if you will. And he is one of those cars right back in the saddle again. And Justin, we both know as the field settles in for a restart with some new contenders up in the top front, as they come to the Geico restart zone, Stephen O'Hare at the time was a top contender before he had his problems, that mishap that just sent him down to the infield. We're ready for the green flag. It is Odenbacher ready to send them back to starts on lap number 75. 76 completed now, working lap 77. Odenbacher, Bloom, Peterson, Rasengarber, and there goes the green 89 powering away off of turn number 2.
Behind him, though, the next car on the older tires is under attack. Bloom forced outside. First car by is Peterson. Into turn 3, Raz looks to join him. To the outside goes the 25 of Bloom. Wrapping the bottom goes Raz. Near 3 wide for the race lead.
And do you see how easy it is to be swallowed up by the field when you're on slower tires? Used tires, new tires. And look at Odenbacher and Bloom just fall to the wayside now.
Odenbacher and Bloom side by side. Dan West Jr., he's been trying to send it everywhere to get back up to the front. He's already had to serve incident point penalties. He's now back in the top 4. Odenbacher gets zipped on by. Here comes McDonald off of turn 4 to the inside of the 89 as well.
And on the bottom right is Odenbacher. You're on board with him again, the driver to Concord, North Carolina, who was the leader, who is he's got used tires. Everyone else on new tires for the most part. besides the 2021 Arca Northwest champion of Ryan Bloom of the Munster Energy 25. And just like that, Bloom and Audenbach are losing ground. New leader, Lake Peterson, back to the lead of the number 9 car.
They look to settle it out up front. Audenbacher gets swallowed up behind him. But off of turn 4, Raz is trying to find a way to close back up to the 9 of Peterson. Gap is 4/10 of a second at the stripe, 55 laps to go. Raz, he's tried the bottom a majority of the time. This time, he's trying the top. He brings West Jr., McDonough, and everybody else nearly up to the top with him, but McDonough spins and nearly slides to the bottom.
McDonough, so strong, trying so hard to battle with these cars. Look at him. And Justin, look at also the 17, Casey Duncan. He was in that wreck a moment ago with Wood. He's right back in the top 10.
And he didn't get any of the damage fixed, mind you, it looks like. Outside of 55 seconds in the pit lane. Lots of damage on Duncan's car still. Technical issues in front, doesn't impact Lowther. Everybody else settles in 2x2x2. Bloom a little loose on the top. Down to the bottom, McDonough gets taken 3 wide. Smith peels him off the bottom of the track. Into turn 3, Smith with the send.
They'll stick it 3 wide. McDonough in the middle again. Here comes Smith on the outside. Bloom on the outside. While that works on, they work their way back through the tri-oval or to the start-finish line through the tri-oval. It is going to be Peterson, the leader. Look at this battle, though, brewing between Bloom, Garber, Anderson, Duncan, Audenbacher. All these cars, some have new tires, some have old tires. Some slammed the wall like Stefan O'Hare. Jeff Stabnow right behind them as well. That works on to the 3.
4 of the drivers on older tires still getting swamped. Bloom all the way back to 10th. Audenbacher back to 12th. On the bottom of the racetrack, everyone settles in with Camary in particular clearing by him and Duncan. But the packs are starting to form. Dan Lowther 2 seconds back, leads pack 2. Pack 1, Peterson, Raz, West Jr., all different lines through 1 and 2 as they fight for 4th at the head of the second pack. Smith and Lowther side by side on the back.
Lap number 84 this time by when they come to the start-finish line. 83 laps completed. Look at Kevin Smith and Dan Lowther going at it there for that spot. This is for 4th and 5th. McDonald at one time, Justin, was right up there in the front of the leaders. He was battling with Blake Peterson and Cole Raz, and then he slipped. He saved the car from spinning on the back straightaway, but he fell all the way back to outside the top 5 and 6 as they worked their way under 50 to go.
Lowther into the outside wall, down the American ethanol back straightaway. He tries to get scattered back up, starting to get tight. Anderson starting to get racy. He's now the next behind the 63. He clears McDonald through 4.
Remember, O'Hare is in 15th, the 41 car, the American touch-up entry. As long as he's not the cause of the caution or is not involved in the caution, Justin, he will be back on the lead lap in that number 41 Ford, which will then put 15 cars on the lead lap. He's the only car that is in the catbird seat for that opportunity. But right now, there's Dan West Jr. He got just by Raz, putting the 55 back to second. He's after Peterson in turn number 1.
Raz let him go on the outside last time by. Will that work out with West Jr.? Trying to see what he's got. Remember, West Jr. has spun 3 different times in turns 1 and 2. Can he settle it down? Back by 0.8 of a second. Closes it up by about 0.5 tenth on the outside in turns 3 and 4. He looks to chomp on down and get to Lake Peterson.
Peterson, the leader, down below. Here's at West, 55. Here comes Raz right there after him, the Super Friends. He's in the middle of that sandwich, if you will. Dan West Jr., Smith on the winner of the Kansas truck race on Thursday night. Then it's, of course, Anderson hanging there in 5th now. Lowther, McDonald, Garber, Duncan, Barnes. What a good solid day for Barnes. He started all the way in the back of the pack. He had a 1-point lead over the field. Coming into this race as the points leader with no wins, as the field is starting to overtake more cars, more traffic, and Justin, more cloud cover as we approach lap 100. They're back to 1.
Track conditions getting to the coolest they've been all day at 87 degrees Fahrenheit. But for McDonald, the temperatures in terms of his fights have picked up to a fever temperature. nearly into the fender of Casey Garber in turn 2, into turn 3. Garber in front of him, tries to get to the inside of Lowther. He goes 2 lanes lower than the 63. Lowther tries to diamond it away from the wall. A bit of a squeeze from Garber.
So there's Garber down below the bottom of the racetrack, now trying to come back up on the apron, battling alongside Dan Lowther's car. And that goes on back to the bottom of turn number 2, down the American Ethanol back straightaway. Clear now, Lowther, get Duncan in front of him. McDonald now trying to reel those cars in. He's back 3.5 seconds to the leader, Peterson, and that goes on. That battle going on for 6th and 7th off turn 4.
And Lowther trying to really pedal it off the corner, try and power it down against the wall. He tries to build back up the run, close back up to the rest of the leaders. Everyone is starting to scrap it out for second in front because Smith, he wants to pass West Jr. He closes in. He slides past him off turn 2. Up to second, a race high for Kevin Smith.
Another lengthy green flag run underway now as we're watching now Kevin Smith move his way around Dan West Jr. Lap car on the bottom, 2020 champion Sean Brightsman. After that crazy flip he had earlier, he goes now to the bottom of the apron, says, have at it, boys. They'll battle back to 1 and 2. Smith now splitting the 2 cars behind him of West and Anderson. They're side by side down the American Ethanol back straightaway going to 3.
Anderson clears for 3rd, up back to where he started the race. Behind him, Raz side by side with Garber. Everyone looking to pounce ahead. 43 to go this time by off turn 4 again. Garber here clears on by Cole Raz.
Casey Garber now, you're on board with him as he tries to reel in on Dan West Jr., the Shelton, Washington native up on the top shelf. To the inside is Garber. He's coming after West and Yakima, Washington's Anderson of the Harvest Chevrolet, but they throw the block on him and try to cut him off. He comes right back there to the bottom. It looks like, Justin, those cars need to stay up on the top side. He can hug the inside as he's right alongside Dan West Jr. as they come to the stripe on lap 92.
Dan West Jr. lets him have it and go on by. Casey Garber, he's kept his space all race. He's kept his distance all race. He wraps the bottom off turn 2 and now looks to make his presence known. His matte black machine has some scrapes, yes, but he looks to be one of the quickest cars on the track. He ran in the same ballpark as the leader last time. He's been running 8/100ths quicker than the leader the past 5 off 4. He closes it up again.
It's Peterson, it's Smith, it's Anderson, it's Garber you're watching right now on the monitor alongside behind Anderson, Garber, and Dan West Jr. Those spots up for grabs continue for 4th through 6th as a slip happens off 2. Here comes Anderson, a little bob there. Garber might have some cosmetic damage on the driver door, but he's going to battle alongside. Gets the run on Anderson. Or will he? Anderson slithers his way, throws the block on him, and he can't get to him now as they work back off 4.
Some of the drivers regaining confidence when it comes to the apron. But with these older tires, that could be a hazard. Some of the leaders did that, some, including Anderson, avoided it. Anderson looking to avoid getting past. Garber looking to jump his way ahead on the leaderboard. He looks to stalk his prey, uses the bottom. Now going around to the middle of the track, in fact, Anderson elects to scrape the safer barrier. He still keeps the speed up regardless of the scrape. He's off turn 4 in 3rd still.
Use the right rear off the back of the wall. There goes McDonald, and the man that's the points leader, 1 point back in this race. Of course, that's Barnes. This is going on for positions number 9 and 10. Barnes, McDonald trying to get back to the 17 of Duncan. As we're also approaching lap 100. Look at the front end of the 4, how badly damaged it is on the Toyota, but he has not wavered yet. He still stays on the American Ethanol back straightaway. And while that goes on, here comes a battle now for 6th and 7th as Dan Lowther reels in Cole Raz as that goes on down into turn number 1.
Damage in the tire wear really factored in for Raz in pack 2. Raz nearly scrapes the wall again into turn 1 entry. Lowther tries the middle of the racetrack. Lowther, one of the better drivers in the long run here today. He tries to use the bottom, has to crack the throttle 3 times over. That doesn't work for the American Ethanol back straightaway. He's back to single file as they're about 3 wide for the battle for second.
3 wide, heating up for that second spot. Garber has got down to Anderson. Anderson's got down to Smith. And this is all for second, third, and fourth. 3 cars battling it. And while that goes on, Justin, you know what Lake Peterson is thinking in his head? You guys keep on going ahead. You keep on battling amongst yourselves. I'm gone. I'm in stealth mode. Hey, hey, goodbye. Peterson now opens it up to almost 1.5 seconds or more as they dive into turn 3.
Smith trying to regather himself up after all the fighting last time around. That lost all the drivers. 3/4 of a second. Smith tries the apron. Doesn't work whatsoever. Last time by, 3/1,000 seconds slower than Peterson, who didn't use it. Behind them to the inside goes Garber. He tries another crack at Anderson. Again, though, Anderson, with the preferred line, gets the pole off turn 2 high.
It is Lake Peterson way up in front, up on the outside lane, moving by lap cars. Lap traffic. Then you've got, of course, Kevin Smith right there in front of them, along with Anderson. That's second and third. Their 4th place car, Casey Garber, trying to go for that 2-for-1 special. Working lap number 99. It'll be triple digits on the board next time by. 35 to the finish. Peterson leads off turn 2.
All different lines starting to form out. Garber settling down. Distance between all the cars about 3 car lengths apiece. Lap traffic ahead for second on back. Ron Hunter elects to stay up top. Smith forced to try the bottom. He's been avoiding that line most of the day. Forced to crack the throttle. Does clear on by the traffic though at the stripe.
Working now lap 100 at the start-finish line. 100 on the board. 34 to go. And while that goes on, look it now. Bloom and Duncan now. Barnes in this battle. Back again for 8th, 9th, and 10th going to turn 1.
Lots of bumping and pushing here throughout this grouping. McDonald and Annenbacher trading some paint. Bloom trying to hope these tires stretch it out. But here's the worst case scenario now, Wesley. Annenbacher and Bloom, if it stays green for another 10 laps, they will have to pit within that range. They both are likely not going to be able to make it to the end on gas.
I think they were hoping for a yellow flag. I think they thought that maybe with the strategy of the race being what it was, with already 9 caution flags so far, that they thought they'd see one. And honestly, Justin, dramatic improvement for the entire field of trucks or cars on the racetrack here tonight at Kansas, because it was caution field. 8 caution flags in the first half of the race, and now as we approach 30 laps to go, it's only been 1 yellow flag in the second half of this race so far.
Very clean second half as the track conditions continue to plummet. Casey Garber's stock on the positions on the board continues to skyrocket. Inside, Anderson nearly to the wall on the outside. Casey Garber with the pole. He uses Troy Dagan as a pick. He moves up to a race-high 3rd. Next on up is Kevin Smith through 3 and 4. Smith is up by 6 car lengths from him.
He will use the lap car of Daggett as a pick to clear by Anderson, and Garber will now pull by there. 2 car lengths now. Garber moves to P3. His next man is going to be the driver in the Hermiston Ford from Washington, the 00 of Kevin Smith. He's a 2.5 seconds back to Lake Peterson. Garber coming after him hard down the American Ethanol back straightaway for 30 to go, this time by off 4.
Pace really settling its way in. Can Kevin Smith find a way to break through in the 00? Still 1.7 seconds back. He's gained 1/10 the past 10 laps. Overall up on the board. He tries the middle of the racetrack, rides the top of the seam, the first of the seams, gets loose, trying to cross it. Gains about 1/10 on the corner apex. Can he maintain it down the back? He's done it. He's closed up 1/10 with that line.
30 laps to go now. Lake Peterson, there he is. There's the leader in that number 9 machine. Up in front. We're also at the top of the hour. We will pause for 10 seconds of network identification for those that are listening on the Community Radio Network and in the Triangle. 87.5 WCRN FM will probably go side by side, and when we return, we take you to the checker flag here tonight at Kansas.
You're listening to the Community Radio Network. Follow us via social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CRN Sports. Plus, listen to other games at 87.5 FM or join us anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. We are CRN.
This is our series.
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
Where the stakes are always higher.
$300,000.
Where virtual meets reality.
How bad do you want it? They're wasting no time getting at it.
Where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Just past the start-finish line, 27 laps to go. We take you now to the checkered flag here for iRacing on LSRTV coverage from Kansas. And for those that are also listening on the Community Radio Network, and a caution has come out just as we, it's on Bacher. And another car with smoke bellowing from the back end. Justin, yellow flag out for the 11th time with 27 to go here in Kansas.
And this comes from a missed communication. A pit call from Bacher came in. Remember, he had to come into pit to make it to the end on gas.
That's right.
You see Casey Duncan's right behind, closes on up. He's already signaled that he's pitting, clips the apron.
Oh, no.
And then Duncan still runs into the back of him regardless. Then you collect Chris White into the incident, and then everybody else comes on through. We're under caution, and this changes everything.
What in the world was Casey Duncan thinking? I mean, Justin, it seemed like he didn't even lift.
I don't think he's seen the communication coming from Bacher. It's simple as that. And if you aren't looking to it and if you're missing that in terms of that planning, you can see what happens. You have to be aware of what could happen stop-wise. And now it looks like
here they come.
The tire time is here. Last stop's the race likely.
This is the pit stop. This is the money stop. You knew it was going to happen. 4 tires and fuel to the finish. Obviously, I don't even think they're worried about fuel. But tires, Justin, tires are what wins races. And I think that's what they're going for right now. We see number 9, Peterson, into his pit stall.
Everyone into their stalls right now. Near contact in the pit lane with Lowther and Raz. Everybody else nice and clean, rolling to the box. Who will win the race off the pit lane is the question. Bit of a backup for Cole Raz. He's taking the faster pair. Lake Peterson keeps it in his back pocket. Here he goes off the exit. Off and away. Kevin Smith second off the Jackson. Off and away. The race off the lane is Peterson, Smith, Anderson, West Jr., Garber, the top 5.
And Justin, Stephen O'Hare, number 41, back on the lead lap in the American Touch-Up Ford number 41. He has now climbed back to 7th after these pit stops.
Expect him to come in this time by with that wave around taken the last time around. So in other words, we're looking at about 11 contenders left to go with varying levels of damage here. Speaking of which, make it 10 because Bruce Weaver is yet to pit. Was that one car stayed out, and as you can see with him riding the apron, likely coming in because he can't make it to the end on fuel. If he stays on the racetrack, he'll come in with the rest of the lap cars.
So you see these other cars coming onto the pit lane that are either multiple laps down or not even in contention to battle for the win. There you see Carl Burke, you see Bruce Lee Weaver, Toby Ritters, Tristan Wood, Chris White now exiting the pit lane, all these cars.
Oh, and here's the thing. Remember that last caution? Some of the
Stephen
drivers...
O'Hare.
Yeah. As you see them in the boxes here, it's worth noting Chris White has to serve a penalty under green. Dan Wilder has also reached that trigger point. It appears in the 63, and he was in a good position before. I think he picked up the black flag, though, because if we can get a look at a Pulse Popper's instant replay, when he came out of his pit stall, he spun it into the grass, Wesley, and because he left the actual lane, it's an unsafe pit exit, and that's a penalty for Dan Lowther.
And that means you have to come down the pit road to face a penalty, right?
Under green.
Wow. Wow, man, what a tough break there for Dan Lowther in the 63. Point all the while. Yep, here's your replay. Yes, you shall receive there, Justin. Oh, no! Spun the tires and lost it into the grass.
Easy to do with this car if you hit the gas too hard, because if you end up hitting the revs too quickly, it just binds up the tires, just takes you straight into the grass just like that. The case there. It impacts one of the drivers who were battling inside the top 10 most of the day, Dan Lowther. Black flag, he's already indicating he wants to start at the back tail end so he can serve it quickly. He's gotten that ability to do so here with the black flag as we're getting ready to go.
So we will set you up here for the restart with 23 laps to go. 23 remaining. Blake Peterson, Kevin Smith alongside. Lights off on the pace car. All right. Justin, you think we're just setting ourselves up for more cautions, or do you think that we could see this race go to the finish here?
We could get either or. Lots of cold tires now coming for this restart. You be careful if you're some of these competitors. Many of them are at the cusp, keep in mind, with some of their incidents earlier of reaching a black flag that can take them out of contention. So you have to think patiently for this launch.
And how hungry is Kevin Smith to try to pull an upset win? We talked about this before. He has never won a Cup Series race on the Northwest Racing Series. He's won in trucks, but never in Cup. And just like that, he falls back to third, up on the outside lane. Here comes Garber and Raz after him. Dan West Jr. outside. Barnes points leader is there. Bloom, step right up, come to the outside, and come on in as this Dan West Jr. up in the wall out of 4.
A horrible launch for Cole Raz. He gets shuffled all the way back to 6th. Up at the front, single file now. Peterson, Anderson, Smith line up, ducks in a row. To the inside to turn 1 goes Peterson. To the outside goes Anderson with Smith with them. Dan West Jr. again is over the track. Again, he's in the wall. Smith is loose off turn 2. Everybody getting the cold tire frenzy as it's 3 wide down the back.
And 4 wide just a moment ago to the back straightaway after Fishtail was Dan West Jr. into the fence. Here comes now Ryan Bloom. He'll clear Garber. He'll clear Raz. He'll clear Smith. He's up to 3rd as they come to 20 to go at Kansas.
What a start for Ryan Bloom with some of the trouble. The tough part will be, can they get up to Anderson and Peterson? The top 2 are trying to duke it out. Smith to the wall. Smith slides it up, just avoids contact with it off 2.
Down the back straightaway, it's Peterson still leading the way. Open up that about 200th of a car link back to Anderson. Meanwhile, Bloom is the set of the 3rd. Kevin Smith now, we're watching that driver now in 6th position, trying to hold off the likes of the points leader by 1 point into this race tonight. Barnes in the 4, up on the outside, Dan West Jr. handling cold tires, handling whatever it is. As now Ryan Bloom smacks the outside wall. He got some help there with Garber and Raz. Nowhere to go. And now Toby Ritters gets into it with Jeff Sapp now. They make contact. They hold it together. No, they don't. Caution's out. They're wrecking below. Jeff Stab now has crashed in the 24. So is also, I believe, Tristan Wood in 57. No correction, it's Stephen O'Hare in 41.
After all that time to get back on the lead lap and be the lucky dog, you end up having your race build up like that. O'Hare, meatball flag, flipped upside down, blown motor as well. Pulse Popper's instant replay will say a lot. 1 car in the wall already with Bloom. Ritter
and my
sees
apologies,
that.
It was Bruce Lee Weaver.
Yes.
Those cars look so alike from the faraway angle. It was Bruce Lee Weaver, not Jeff Stab now. My apologies, it was the 40 car.
Either way, in regards to all that, Bruce Lee Weaver in a bad spot, black flag, significant damage already out of the race regardless to the garage. Here's a look for the onboard with O'Hare. At the very back of the grouping, remember it, with the lucky dog, you start at the tail, was trying to find a way around 3 wide with Toby Ritters, who is amongst that lap traffic in 24th position. The contact up in front starts to make things intriguing, but then, despite all that, you have Weaver push up into Ritters. O'Hare pushes back into him as they go down the track. Bad angle, and O'Hare has a bad night. Build up even more.
So, Justin, I'm thinking honestly, when Ryan Bloom got up in the fence on the outside, safe for wall barrier, that made Ritters panic. Ritters had, of course, Bruce Lee Weaver alongside him. He had nowhere to go, and they made that quick evasive move, and it was just the wrong one, and then it caused that accident over there on the back straightaway.
It looked like he was keeping that in mind, maybe going a little bit less against the wall. Yes, you're right on that, Mark. But it is Weaver who pushed up more than Ritters came down, if you really look at it seam to seam. The counterpoint is, you expect the exit off the wall. The top things also with the counterpoint is, you also can't necessarily run into the back end of the car who just hit the wall right in front of you. Follow through with that?
Casey Duncan on the pit lane for work. Vinny McDonald just got the free pass, Justin. He is back on the lead lap again in the 43 car. And Jeff Stabnow, if he takes advantage of the wave around, if he takes the wave around, Justin, it'll put him only one lap down. But he's got to be up there, and I don't see him being up there because I don't think any of the leaders are going to pit.
Yeah, at this point, you've made your bet if the race leaders. If you want to win this race, you need to stay out for the track position. Hope you're not involved in some of the caution flags. That's your main goal right now. If you come into pit, there's not a good chance you'll get all the spots back unless you really nail a start here. There's not enough laps turned in the first place to justify the pit stop in general, unless you have significant damage. Of note, Stabnow, he's getting more damage repair done, it looks like, as a result of that last incident, the last caution. He's on his 6th pit stop of the race. O'Hare and Weaver are now out of this race. After that crash, we're down to just a grand total of 12 on the lead lap. And the 12th car in that lead lap is Casey Duncan, who right now has lost his front and rear bumpers, trying to slam dunk his way to the top 10. Unfortunately, that car has been slam dunked at both ends of the car.
Basically, if he hits the wall the wrong way on the front or the back end another time, he could pretty much call himself a night in that number 17 aluminum, if you will, machine of Casey Duncan. It'll be 15 laps to go when the field works their way back across the start-finish line here in the tri-oval at Kansas. The lights should go off on the pace car, and yes, they do. It'll be 14 laps to go when we take the green flags. Let's set it up for you again. Oh, man, Lake Peterson up in front. He leads the way. Caden Anderson second. Cole Raz is third. Garber, amongst all the crazy shenanigans he's been on in that stealth black car number 94, it's hard to even see the number except where it's been damaged. He is in a nice spot in the top 5 in the 4th position as well. Of course, also, Kevin Smith is in 5th. Brian Barnes, Justin, I got to say this, man. The popsicle number 4 Toyota, you see him up on the outside as we get ready for the restart alongside Kevin Smith on the bottom. That guy is no quit. No harm, no foul. He might be involved in some crazy shenanigans or around where trouble happens, but somehow or another, he gets away from it or he comes back and redeems from it. And that is what it takes, consistency to win a championship. And that's exactly what he's done.
Exactly right now, but it's also about closing out races like this. 14 to go. Peterson Anderson off and away.
Field makes their way back to the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air with a 14-lap shootout. 3 cars now battle for the lead. Peterson on the inside. Raz is behind him. Anderson up on the top shelf. And he'll carry Garber and Barnes with them. Top 5 off 2.
Raz had the best of the launches out of the 3 Super Friends. He wasn't able to do anything with it, though, for the backstretch. Single file into turn 3. All of them on the top. Garber tries the middle. No dice. Still no moves white yet. Garber tries one.
Garber went to make a move on the bottom. He couldn't go to below the white line of the apron, and now he comes up here on the machine of Raz. They're side by side. That clears now Anderson. His now sets his sights on Peterson. Up on the top side off of turn number 2. It's still Lake Peterson leading down the American Ethanol back straightaway as they fan out single file. But now Garber goes after Raz for that spot in 3.
For the race lead into turn 3, Anderson inside, Peterson up top. The slide from Anderson doesn't get to the door. He lifts it off. Here comes Raz with Casey Garber down the front. Raz tries to position himself up high. Garber tries low. 2 by 2 as Anderson holds on to second and through 1 and 2. He sticks it up top to try and get the run again.
Battle for 5th and 6th with Smith and Barnes, and he got turned. Barnes into the outside wall, and Dan also cleared by him. Caution out over the speedway. I was just watching that battle start to heat up. Barnes and Dan West Jr., Kevin Smith also. And Kevin Smith, Justin, just got the short end of the stick and goes around. Caution out with 12 to go here at Kansas.
And as a result, Brian Barnes, he's in the penalty range for incident points with that spin.
Wow.
And with 10 to go, that may take him out of contention entirely at this point. Pending luck. Pulse Poppers instant replay. Quite simply, quarter panel to the back end of him for Smith. Smith gets turned around. Bye-bye goes Smith.
Are you serious?
It's quite simple like that, yes. Smith was up top. Barnes was on bottom. I will say this. Smith was getting loose, remember the last restart? I believe he got loose this one too, Wesley, for the benefit of the doubt for Barnes, but here's the tough thing. That's incident point number 12 from that contact, essentially. So Barnes, regardless, likely has to serve it and has picked up damage. He took the fast repair last caution.
And we have 10 laps to go. My goodness. Wow. Justin, typical Kansas, your take of this race here tonight. Is it the new next-gen car trying to figure out this new sim? Entertaining?
There's been some great battling. Absolutely, Wesley. Some of the battles in the heart of the pack, especially though for the race lead, have been some of the best battles on the speedways all season. But at the same time, it's a tough car, and Jeff Stabnow said it especially. The drivers were expecting it to be tight, having to use the brakes to rotate. It's been the opposite of that, and that can catch drivers off guard. Here's the thing, though, in regards to the rear-world side, when you think about it, Wesley, how predictable usually is it to where exactly how you plan a race to be handling-wise is exactly how it is when you take the green flag to checker?
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting to see here. We're not done yet, and oh, wow. I'll tell you, I got to wonder if maybe Anderson and Raz, the super friends, as you call them, Justin, I think that's pretty cool. I think they might have something for Peterson. Or again, Peterson might just be hanging back. He's not showing all his strength yet. I don't know.
I mean, for Peterson, he's in a great spot. He, remember, got involved in those incidents earlier. I think he's bounced back pretty well from them. Anderson, I think, is going to be the one to watch for the battle here. Possibly even Raz. Yes, I know that's broad. But I mean by that, Anderson's been the most aggressive out of the three. He's been trying dive bombs, slide jobs. Hasn't been able to fully clear on by to make it fully stick. Where does the give and take end? Where is that limit? Cole Raz, he's been trying the bottom almost to a fault. Does he try something different to see if he can find a way to slingshot past both of them? And if all else fails and the super friends become the super fighters, Casey Garber is there to say, I'll swing on by and take that checker flag, sir. Thank you.
Super friends, super fighters, how will it become? Oh my goodness, this one is not over yet. And mind you, Justin, we could possibly go also into 2 attempts at overtime. If need be, we're still on the scheduled distance of this race. Lights are off, it's gonna be 8, make it 7 laps to go. When they come back to the Geico restart zone, still in the scheduled distance of this event.
And here's the huge thing too. Because that very long green flag run before the caution with Annenbacher and company, we're not at risk of the time, it looks like. Unless we go pacing for the next 20 laps in 20 minutes in a row. That's unlikely though, even with a flurry of cautions to the green-white checkers. So it looks like we'll be racing to the maximum amount of time, in terms of laps should say, to determine this race winner if it comes down to it.
Well, with that being said, we're ready to settle them up for the restart here. Hope you're ready. We are as well. As this will be a 7-lap shootout. Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outland, Charles Wooten, Jeff Staff. Now, Rocket Media, 10 years. Your home for sim racing, iRacing on LSRTV coverage. And this is season 3 of the Northwest Racing Series Cup Cars. Back to green at Kansas, 7 to go, car onto the pit lane. Barnes is pitting. He's got to take that penalty. And Justin, you said that, there's 7 to go. Peterson leads him in the corner out of 2.
11 cars now in contention on the lead lap. Blake Peterson leads that pack down the American Ethanol backstretch. He tries to hold the top. Raz lines it up. Tries to back up his entry. Anderson goes middle. Raz falls the tire tracks to Peterson. Duncan, once those watching Garber, try and get underneath Anderson for 3rd.
And what do you call them? The Super Friends as Raz dive bombs to the bottom. Tries to hold off and make a move on the bonsai on Ant Peterson. He can't get there. He's up on the outside lane. Anderson got sideways. Anderson was just having smoke come out of the back end of his car. He holds on to it. No, he doesn't. He smacks the outside wall. He got a shot from Dan West Jr. He spins below the bottom of the apron. Caution is out as he misses the inside safer wall barrier. And the yellow flies with 6. Make it 5 to go when they come back to the start-finish line. Caden Anderson. And the caution is out for the 12th time. Justin, I saw his car get a plume of smoke, and I said, uh-oh, he's in trouble.
Pulse Popper's instant replay is pretty telling. That entry, once again, comes into play. Loose along the seams, avoids contact with Garber, saves it once, saves it, then he just about settles it down, then gets loose again, slams off the wall. Nowhere for West Jr. to go as he hits this back bumper. Anderson slides, just avoids inside wall contact. But now, Anderson's out of contention. Dan West Jr., another black flag as a result of the contact. And he's the innocent bystander in all of this.
Wow.
He was 5 car lengths back and he hits him.
And it's because he made contact with the 37. And because of that, that's a penalty. That's the meatball flag here in iRacing. Watch this again as you're on board with Dan West Jr. Simply Justin Prince, as you said, as it's coming up on him. It's not his fault. Look.
He was going to the inside regardless of the touch, yeah.
Can he protest that? Can he say, hey, come on, guys?
Well, here's the counterpoint. He's already had 1 black flag for incident points here in this race because of turn 2 at the midway point of this event. So he is right now at the precipice of having a DQ, being the only driver possibly in that range. So now it's a tough break for many. Anderson already in for his repairs. West Jr. will have to serve a penalty under green, coming to a green-white checkered.
Wow. Wow. And are we going to go to overtime, or do you think they can still go the scheduled distance, Justin? That's the question here. We got 3 to go when they come back around.
Lights have to be out for it to be a natural green-white checkered. They don't get the lights off this time around. We use one of the first attempts.
So they have to, and remember, that is something also on the new update for iRacing that the series officials for Northwest can control. So if they call for a quick caution, they can have the caution lights go out. So this will tell the tale right here if we're going to have a quickie yellow or if we're going to go overtime attempt number 1. The pace car getting ready to cross to the tri-oval, and the survey says no. So Justin, overtime number 1 is coming with 3 to go.
And that cautious demeanor we mentioned that's going to be critical at this point of the race for a lot of these drivers may just about go out the window almost now, because Peterson, he's led 90 of 131 laps. After all the craziness and being involved in some of the big crashes, he's been out here partly because of the pit strategy, and it's worked out tremendously. But here's the thing. Cole Raz has looked right off each of these restarts. In fact, he's, if anything, lifted off and given space to the next car in front because he's gotten the better launch than the actual leader. And then you have Casey Garber, who's been trying anything possible to find a way around Anderson before his troubles. He might have a chance here. Oh, by the way, remember Dan Lowther had that penalty a while ago? He's in the top 5. He's about to move up to 4th because of what's happening with West Jr. who has yet to try and move to the back. In fact, I'm surprised West Jr. hasn't tried to say, I've got a penalty, I got to do this. If he takes the checkered, he'll be at the tail end of the lead lap. That might be his play, maybe. Or he can get disqualified for not serving within this caution flag.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, for sure. We'll try this again. Lights are off for the pace car. This is overtime, attempt number 1. All right, Justin. I normally get to talk about this all the time, my friend. Set him up. Tell him how overtime goes, buddy.
When it comes to overtime and when it comes to green-white checkers, first, once again, I should rather say to rephrase myself, 2 green-white checkered attempts are available for today's race for the Northwest Cup Series. If we take the caution flag before we get to the white flag, the field will be re-racked and stacked for one more restart. If we take the white flag, they will have no caution to freeze the field from that point forward on iRacing. If there's a caution before they take the white on the second attempt, race is over and it finishes under caution. In other words, make it 1 lap clean, it's a race to the checker.
Well, we'll see what goes on here as the field will get ready to make their way back to the Geico restart zone. Yellow flag fiesta here tonight on this race at Kansas. On to the next race next week. Here we go. Green flag, overtime. Turn 1, Peterson Raz. He's after him on the outside lane. He might have been showing that momentum as they go to turn 1.
Raz got the better launch than Peterson. He tries to pinch him. Side drop from Peterson off turn 2. Down the American Ethanol backstretch. A block from Raz. Raz is clear. Raz to the lead through turns 3 and 4. Coming to the white flag as Garber tries the bottom. The top 2 run middle. Coming to the white.
And look at Garber, though, now. He makes his move on Peterson for the number 2 spot. They come below the apron, white flag in the air. The CRN 1 to go. All bets are off in Kansas final time. Look out, Toto. They're in turn 1 with Raz leading in the final corner.
Cole Raz has waited all race long for his chance to pounce. Behind him, they wait for second.
Peterson and Garber get together. This just seals the deal, Justin, for Cole Raz as he works his way to turn 3.
Coming out of the final corner, Cole Raz will run away with the victory. He wins at Kansas in a wild one.
Cole Raz picks up his 2nd win this year since Daytona. He wins here tonight at Kansas. In addition to that, drivers battling Kenneth Garber and the driver Blake Peterson, they wreck each other down the back straightaway. And it pretty much solidified the win for the number 10. His 2nd win this year. He's not won since Daytona, Justin, and it's all Cole Raz tonight here at Kansas.
And it looks like he's learned his lesson from Daytona to go the full cool down.
Yes,
They're still trying to finish the race around him. Now that they've all crossed the line, he can burn it down. I think he's waiting to make sure that everyone's crossing a second time. Now he's comfortable with the celebration this time.
Justin, if you remember Daytona, which, by the way, can we say if you add another mile to this racetrack with the similarity as far as the way the track is with the tri-oval, it would be the size of Daytona. If you remember, he won the Daytona race, and then he immediately started slamming on the brakes, and oh my goodness, Toby Ritter stopped somebody's momentum of trying to plow into him. But if you remember, Justin, before they were even able to, well, I was just going to say, before he was able to get across the start-finish line, he literally went back in reverse, and they almost took the win away from him. And I think that's why he, for sure, on your point, wanted to, Justin, make sure he had absolutely, positively, equivocally not get this win taken away from him.
Absolutely a big celebration, very much earned, I think, for Cole Raz. Interestingly enough, everybody seemed to have lots of tempers flaring around. No major party at the line because, well, I think everybody else was just spending that entire time taking their tempers out. The 2nd and 3rd place cars, bumped and banged through 3 and 4 after the checker, and were all in the grass themselves. What a night.
They're tore up from the floor up here at Kansas. Let's take a look at the unofficial results here tonight as Cole Rask picks up his second win this year, as I mentioned, Daytona and tonight at Kansas. Ryan Bloom, what a comeback for Ryan Bloom. In second spot, the 2021 ARCA Northwest champion. Kevin Smith, he had problems earlier, remember? He has spun a moment ago. He comes back to finish third. Brian Barnes, even though he had a penalty, another good run for him, fourth. Vinnie McDonald also, fifth. Briar Reynolds, Caden Anderson, Jeff Stab now. Justin, look at this. He finishes in eighth. Duncan Peterson. That's the way they finish in the top 10. It totally was not what I was expecting the rundown to be here tonight at Kansas in the rundown.
By the way, the disqualification we mentioned came in the white flag lap for Dan West Jr. He's the first one lap down as a result. He'll finish in front of KC Garber, who did not make it to the checkered as a result of the big one down the back. Dan Lather finishes 13th, one lap down as well. Chris White is 5 laps down. He was amongst those who had to serve several penalties tonight. Carl Burke, Tristan Wood, Chris Camary, Stefan Lair, Bruce Weaver, Ron Hunter, amongst the many drivers who had many parts of their cars having to be replaced and/or their crew members find new parts for them.
See the rest of the rundown, including Sean Brightsman, John Ottenbacher, Ritters, Daggett, Kim Yee, Rogers, Harris, Grande, Vining of 30. And then the rest of the rundown of Devin West, Aaron Cooper. Angel Ortega never took the green flag. Something amiss on the 68 machine here tonight at Kansas. Hey, we're going to wrap it up. It's already late on the East Coast, and we're going to grab a word with the top 3 finish line. Post-race wrap-up coming up soon when we return. iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network. A wild one at Kansas Caution Field. And when it's said and done, Cole Rask gets his second win of the year. Welcome back to Kansas Motor Speedway. It is time for the finish line post-race wrap-up here after an exciting, wild event here for the Northwest Racing Series. Justin Prince, Wesley Outlet back with you as we're going on a decade of covering your home for sim racing, iRacing on LSRTV and on the Community Radio Network. Third place, Kevin Smith. Kevin! Dude, this has got to be like a win. You won the truck race on Thursday. You went through some string of bad luck here a moment ago to set things up for overtime. You rallied, you get right back in the hunt of things. You finished third. You're taking this race here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun race. Had obviously a lot of cautions, which we don't like to see. I actually fared pretty well on that long run. I thought things were going. I was sitting there in second. I think maybe running Lake down a little bit. He had about 2-second lead, and I think I cut it down to like 1.2, 1.3, and then we got that caution. Would like to have seen it go green.
Yeah, it was the type of night where it seems attrition was prevalent. At one point, you were spun around on the back straightaway with your loose moment. How was it trying to settle things on down with the back and forth affair getting through the pack with all the cars snapping and getting loose on colder tires and early on in the runs?
Yeah, I really hadn't had that issue like that. Any other time of the night, I came into the pits and put those tires on, and I had like three moments there in like 3 or 4 laps. So not exactly sure. Maybe just trying to get it there a little bit too much. But once I started shotgun in the field, dead last, I think, and a couple wrecks early. I was up front and kind of stayed there most of the night with pit strategy and stuff. But yeah, the tires, you had to get some heat in the tires and then, manage the tie it off later in the run.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin, man, this was a eventful event, bud. We're glad to see you here on the podium for obviously a truck win this past Thursday. And before we do let you go, sir, thank you, sponsors. On to the next one for sure.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So I'd like to thank Click It RV, clickitrv.com for travel trailers, motorhomes, RVs, that sort of stuff. I want to thank you guys, LSRTV. You guys do a great job. Just love watching the broadcasts. And definitely want to thank the series. These guys just do such a wonderful job, and it's so fun racing with these guys and week in, week out. So again, thank you much, guys.
Well, that's the driver, of course, of Mr. Kevin Smith. He'll finish third here tonight at the Kansas Speedway as we continue our post-race wrap-up. Grab now the runner-up of the event, the 2021 ARCA Northwest Sim champion of the series. Of course, man, this might be one of his best finishes of his career, Ryan Bloom. Ryan, your take of Kansas, man, the wild race here tonight.
Yeah, that was certainly wild. I guess I could say it's better to be lucky than good. I felt like I was dodging wrecks, dodging cars all night, stuff that was going on in front of me, and I was lucky enough to get through a lot of it. And then, of course, at the same time, trying to fight my loose car and not trying to loop it around, and kind of caught up with me there at the end when I put it in the wall. But yeah, overall, I'll take it for sure. Anytime you get top 3 or top 5 in this series, it's pretty good.
It's actually your best finish on an oval in this series, tied with Circuit Joe Villeneuve and Laguna Seca as your best finish in the Cup Series side of the Northwest portion of its sanctioning body.
Oh, okay.
How would you play things out with how would you consider the strategies you had to play for tonight? Because you're among those by the start towards the back, 20th position. What was kind of the approach you needed to take and planned out on top of avoiding trouble to be able to cut your way through this pack tonight?
Really just, being aware and trying to see ahead and what's going on and trying to make sure you can anticipate wrecks happening and try to, think about where you're going to go when you see those kind of things develop, and just really just trying to avoid the chaos as much as possible. I had a little bit of some wheel issues with my force feedback, and it's caused me some problems early. It was too much wheel, and it's giving me issues. So I had to actually pit there in the middle of the race and try to fix that, and it helped a lot. So, but still fighting a loose car. But really, just once we got in the long run, I was able to kind of settle in and get in the rhythm and kind of climb my way up there. Even though I had older tires, I was able to kind of climb my way back up there. Passing some guys with fresher tires. So, overall, I thought it was pretty fun, and I look forward to the next race.
And, of course, as Justin said, his 67 start here tonight will make now, of course, in addition to the 5 poles, 16 top 5s, 37 top 10s, and the best finish ever so far in a Cup car for the Northwest of second tonight at Kansas. Of course, it is the driver of Ryan Bloom. Ryan, before we let you go, man, thank your sponsors.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank LSRTV for putting on a great broadcast and for everyone to enjoy and watch back. And want to thank the admins, especially Jeff and Sean, for putting this on and keeping things running. And lastly, just thank my teammates, Thunder Road and Kevin Smith, Casey, and Toby for just being great teammates. And we had another good run tonight. So thanks, guys.
On to the next one, of course, that's the driver runner-up here tonight at Kansas of Mr. Ryan Bloom. He'll now go to victory lane. He'll pick up his second win this year. He won at Daytona, and he is now a 2-time winner this year for the Northwest Racing Series Cup program. Of course, from Lake Oswego, Washington, congratulations to you. Mr. Colraz, your take of this race. It was crazy. It was wild. At the end, you survived. And talk about just surviving the strategy of this race and being there at the end to try to be there to put this car in victory lane in this overtime.
Yeah, it was definitely an attrition race. I feel like the group of us between Justin Yee, Blake Peterson, Caden Anderson, Brian Reynolds, and Casey Garba, we all had a piece of trouble tonight. We just had to limp it home and eventually get our quick repair done. And unfortunately, Justin had an early exit, but I mean, we just had to stick around, and I saved that fast repair towards that last caution of that last run, and it definitely helped. Just couldn't get up close to Lake when we were running second there, and eventually stuffed it back in the fence, and that hurt us even more. So it was a survival game at its best, and I'm thankful to come home with a win and steal one.
And by the way, Justin, I think I said Lake Oswego, Washington. He's actually from Lake Oswego, Oregon. Cole Rass.
Was about to say, when it comes to tonight, though, as well, before the calamity that happened towards the final portion of the race, you're one of the best drivers on the restarts out of the Super Friends pack. It seemed inside the top 3. In fact, you had better launches than the race leader a couple times before that green-white checker. How would you break down that approach to try and plan things out to set it up to where you were finally able to pounce for that final restart of the race?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the aggressiveness ramping up for each restart. It just gets more and more amped up as the race goes on, as we get closer to the finish. And the group of us, we work real well together on restarts, and it really helps, especially when we're all grouped up like that. So, was able to get a good launch with Lake there, and was able to pull him back just a little bit after the start-finish line. That helped me lead us into turn 1 and actually be able to squeeze him a little bit and be able to have him cleared off too. But it's a catch-22 with helping each other out like that when it comes to a late race situation. And sometimes it doesn't always pan out for the driver that was lead majority of the race like Lake was, and he did a phenomenal job all night long. And we had a similar situation going on at Bristol Dirt, and we swapped it tonight.
All right, final question, and you can also segue in your sponsors to this, Cole. What's your take so far of this new next-gen car? And we've seen a lot of caution flags, it seems. Is that because of the car itself, or the aggressive driving, or drivers just being impatient? What's your take of it here so far?
I think it's a combination of all those. This car is definitely hard to drive, and it's so different every place we go. The air tonight, dirty air was a huge factor. It just really changed the handling of the car. I mean, you can have somebody in front of you pull down half a lane to a lane, and you'll snap loose. Somebody get on your left rear quarter or right up to your bumper, it'll take the air off of you, and it'll just really upset you. So there's a lot of combinations and factors going into these yellows, but I think as the year goes on, they'll start to thin out, hopefully, and we can get back to some solid green flag lawn race, and like this series is known for. And sponsors wise, just a big thank you to Master Ranch, LSRTV, Wells Johnson, everybody that helps put this series on. I've been enjoying it, and looking forward to the rest of the year.
Cole Rass picking up the win again, the driver, the number 10 entry from Lake Oswego, Oregon, again in picking up now his second win this year, along with 4 top 5s and 5 top 10 finishes in this number 10 machine. Well, Justin, that's going to wrap up our coverage. And mind you, before we go right back to intermediate racing next week for the Cup cars, we're going road course racing, brother. 20-plus turns around COTA, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. That should be interesting and fun.
Yeah, that is going to be a wild, let's put it that way. And I know that's a very much used term, but I think it really fits when it comes to COTA, because it's a massive road course. It's one where there's a lot of hard braking zones for dive bombs. There's a lot of chances for cars to make contact. There's a lot of chances to make passes. There's a lot of chances to make excursions into the grass. There's a lot of chances for pit strategy. There's a lot of chances to end up licking the stamp and instead knocking over an entire mailbox. There's so many ways you can end up having that race go that it can make your head spin. In other words, when it comes to COTA, you never know who's going to be able to conquer the Circuit of the Americas without some battle scars on them.
Should be a fun one. And by the way, coming up this upcoming Thursday night, the Northwest Racing Series trucks will be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And of course, next week it's on COTA. Then we come back to Charlotte, Texas for the continuation before Memorial Day weekend of the 1.5 mile intermediate tracks. It's been a good one here tonight at Kansas Speedway. When it's all said and done, Cole Rass, his second win of the year. For all of our coverage, of course, follow us at LSRTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and at CRN Sports as well on the radio side. For Jeff Stabnow, Charles Meaton, and Rocket Media coverage. For, of course, Mr. Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outland. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching or listening. Replays will be up for both. And again, it's Cole Rass winning tonight at Kansas as we get ready to go left and right at COTA next Monday. Be good to one another, and thank you again for checking us out.